What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. MHA Strongest Sorcerer 1SS. 001I, Eng, the Time Traveler. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 625, 156, 208, head groggy, as if in sleep. The afternoon sun streams through the windows. It shone into the side face of a young man, shining with the radiance of a goblin. There are chirping birds in the sky, and the embellishment of the teacher's brush strokes. It lingers in the ears, making people feel a little irritated. Eng, don't sleep, get out of class is over. A soft and delicate voice sounded, as if it would dissipate in the wind at any moment. Eng opened his eyes, and by the window, the blue sky greeted his eyes. I had a dream about before crossing again, the past is like a dream. Eng breathed a sigh of relief, murmured softly that only he could hear, and temporarily ignored the person who woke him up. Until, poke poke, a light and slightly itchy poking sensation came from behind. Eng turned to look at the table behind him. A girl raised her slender willow eyebrows, showing concern. Their eyes met for a brief moment. She has short dark purple hair with flat oblique bangs, and has delicate and capable facial features, a high nose bridge, and thin lips. What is striking is the singularity of the girl's appearance. On her 2 earlobes, there are unidentified strings that resemble data cables. Sunlight also came in from the window, just falling on her side face. The tiny dust shone with light, and although it was only dust, it looked as if a halo illuminated the girl. Jiro Kyoka originally only existed in illusory works, but it appeared so real in front of you. It's incredible. A young man named Eng is a time traveler with soul wear. Regarding the memory of his previous life, he lay in bed and stayed up all night cultivating immortals, and he was chasing a drama called Fairy Tale. Then the eyelids were overwhelmed and closed, and when they opened again, they appeared in this unknown world. So, staying up all night cultivating immortals or something is a no-no. All in all, it has been a year since Eng traveled through time, and according to various judgments, this world happens to be the worldview of a comic book titled, My Hero Academia, in her previous life. The girl named, Jiro Kyoka, in front of me, and, All Might, known as the, symbol of peace, by the outside world, are the best proof. The thing started from the Celestial Dynasty, a news about a, luminous baby, was born in Qingqing City. Since then, all kinds of, supernormal, have been discovered in various places, and people have imagined superpowers. Flame, electric discharge, huge, flying, etc. There are thousands of strange quirks, and even the appearance of most people will be affected by quirks. Jiro Kyoka's earlobe is influenced by quirks, and the thread is actually the headphone cable, which is also her quirks. She can plug the headphone cable into the wall, the ground or other places, and play various functions. The so-called overhead has become a reality. It has been several generations since the appearance of quirks, and almost 80% of people in today's society have supernormal abilities, and this ability is also called quirks. However, the emergence of quirks has made some people with unruly intentions take advantage of the fact that the country has not completely revised the law to become criminals and use quirks to do bad things, causing the whole society to be in turmoil. But at the same time, heroes who are engaged in confrontation with criminals in comic stories are also born. It sounds suspenseful, and it can arouse the blood of any teenager, but the body that Anse's soul wears is the 20% of those few, quirkless. In fact, the original owner of this body suffered an earth-shaking blow. It can be said that he fell to the bottom of his life, and chose to commit suicide at home with a burst of mentality. But from Anse's point of view, it's really not worth it, and there is no need to be discouraged when you fall to the bottom of your life. Because, in the days to come, every step of life is going up, isn't it? After all, in a world full of quirks, quirkless. But without quirks, it doesn't mean that you have no ability. Eng, he is a systematic traverser. It originated from Fairy Tale, and what accompanied him through time travel was a golden finger called, the Strongest Mage System. Can extract the magic mastered by all wizards in the drama, Fairy Tale. It's just that except when binding his own soul, the system gave Eng the method of cultivating magic power, and then it never appeared again. As for how to wake up the system, the method is unknown. Eng had no choice but to follow the steps and practice magic for a year, but he was embarrassed that he didn't know any magic. Eng, how are you thinking about the volunteer form? Jiro Kyoka hesitated and asked softly. In September, at the end of the semester, she and Eng are about to enter the 3rd year of junior high school. Boys and girls at this age can no longer be carefree. For the first time, they have worries about the future. To decide where to go after graduating from junior high school, the volunteer form was sent to every student yesterday. Due to compulsory education, high school is a must for every student. But you can choose to go to a school where you learn theoretical knowledge, or go to a college where, be a hero. The relationship between Jiro Kyoka and Eng is closer than that of classmates. The two have similar homes, played together since childhood, attended the same school and have been in the same class ever since. The so-called childhood sweetheart. Because of her close relationship, she naturally knew something about Eng. His will, his quirkless, his family situation, the closed hero's firm. Inherit. But only heroes can inherit the firm. So Eng, he has a reason to be a hero, but he doesn't have the talent to be a hero. Probably, the original owner of this body was oppressed to despair by this feeling of powerlessness. Eng hadn't answered Jiro Kyoka's question before the bell rang for the end of get out of class. The time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, not just the end of get out of class. After school. 002 Awakened System, Jiro Kyoka Crisis. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. In public junior high schools in Japan, school dismissal time is generally very early. Next, if you want to join a club or go to a cram school, you are free to do so. Both Eng and Jiro Kyoka have no clubs, or they go home directly. Go outside the classroom and look up. The sky is full of sunset clouds, and the setting sun is like blood. The two walk side by side in the street, silently all the way. But the shadows of the two embrace each other, as close as lovers. The girl walked in 2 steps, and Eng slowed down when she realized this. Eng, you are so tall now. Standing on tiptoe, Jiro Kyoka stretched out his hand to measure the difference in height. Obviously playing as a child, she is a head taller than Eng. Unexpectedly, as soon as I was promoted to junior high school, the gap of 1 head was reversed. Is height related to genetics, and it's normal for adolescent boys to be taller than girls? Eng smiled, a very straight answer. The life after time travel can neither be said to be good nor bad, but it can be regarded as very relaxed and comfortable. Of course, I was a little confused and worried at first. Even after accepting all the memories of this body's life, Eng is still worried that people will see the clues. But Jiro Kyoka hasn't seen anything unusual in the year of getting along so far. Even my childhood sweetheart didn't notice it, let alone other people. Didn't I already decide to volunteer? Eng suddenly answered Jiro Kyoka's question before. Along the way, how could he not notice the worry expressed by the girl? Lume frowned. Become a hero S and inherit my parents' hero S firm. The girl stopped and froze when she heard Ansei's words. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, the ends of her hair were disheveled, and the corners of her skirt swayed. But Eng, aren't you quirkless? Jiro Kyoka pressed the skirt of the student uniform, his tone full of surprise. Instead of that, Kyoka, can I ask you a favor? Eng changed the topic, about her quirkless. Magic. Magician. He is very confident in the ability that the system will bring, but he is still in a state of not being awakened. So wait until he really has the power, then find an opportunity and a reason to tell his childhood sweetheart. He's not quirkless. Can be hero S. What's the matter? Jiro Kyoka was taken aback, and agreed without hesitation, if I can help. Eng said, I want to borrow money. Jiro Kyoka let out a cry of astonishment. She has read in books that boys of this age usually have strong self-esteem. Unless you have to, you will not borrow money from others, let alone a girl. Jiro Kyoka endured the doubts in her heart, she also knew about Ansei's family situation. Being alone may be the difficulty of living expenses. How much do you need? Jiro Kyoka took out her wallet, worried that she had enough money. After all, no one usually brings a lot of money to school. As a result, Eng said, 100 yen is enough. So little. Eng looked far away, and the location where the two were located was an open-air shopping mall. He pointed to the convenience store in the distance. I was in a hurry to go out in the morning, and I forgot my wallet at home. I want to borrow money from you to buy a bottle of drink. After hearing this, Jiro Kyoka gritted his silver teeth, feeling a little bit like hitting someone in his heart. She thought it was a big deal, and worried for a long time nervously. Lend me another 100 yen. What are you going to do again? A bottle of drink, too. Jiro Kyoka. Seeing Ansei's bright smile, Jiro Kyoka gritted his teeth angrily, wanting to punch his childhood sweetheart. Take a deep breath. Girls want yuga, be reserved and not get angry. Ah, this guy actually took my money to buy me a drink. Math was taught by the physical education teacher. Wait, Jiro Kyoka thought he was in the same class as Eng. His math was taught by his physical education teacher, so isn't his own math also taught by his physical education teacher? I'll go by it. Eng, you are waiting here. Jiro Kyoka shook his head, he stopped complaining in his heart, and was about to put himself in a pit. Okay, just a Coke. Eng nodded, looking at the girl's slender back. After being human for 2 lives, he suddenly became a junior high school student. Eng was at a loss in his heart, but he just didn't want to show it. Become a hero S and inherit the firm. These are just the wishes of the original owner of this body, not his own wishes. But I traveled to an extraordinary world full of fantasy professions like hero S. His wish, why don't he want to be a hero S and shine? Just when Ansei's thoughts drifted away and Jiro Kyoka also took a few steps. Boom. There was a huge explosion, high above the open-air mall, and there was a beautiful and huge decoration. In Ansei's eyes, there was a fatal piercing sound, which kept getting closer and amplified. The location of the drop, unbiased, was exactly where Jiro Kyoka was at the moment. If it is hit, even if it does not die, it will definitely be seriously injured. Danger. Eng rushed out with all his strength in an instant, and the roar made Jiro Kyoka startled, and he raised his head suddenly. The huge shadow completely enveloped her. Her quirks don't help with physicality, and she simply can't get out of the falling range for fast-falling decorations. And Ansei's quirkless, or the magic power that has been stored for 1 year in the body, is not helpful in this case. Powerlessness. Traveling through so far, there is still an unreal sense of trance. But at this moment, the powerlessness in his heart made Eng feel extremely real. For the first time, he desperately wanted to gain strength. Enough to change the power to solve the immediate crisis. Catch up with me. Save her. How could Eng watch Jiro Kyoka, his childhood sweetheart, die? The cry resounded in the heart, desperately driving his legs, and even the magic power that he didn't know how to use surrounded his body. Anshei's wish at this moment seemed to be answered, and the dusty shackles were opened. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. The strong mood of the host was detected, and the strongest mage system was awakened. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host, you have received a gift package for beginners, do you want to open it? Close black lens bracket. Anshei's ears heard the cold mechanical voice, but it was as sweet as life-saving straws. 003 The strongest wizard system. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. The 7 most famous plus-size models in the world. More. 458. 115. 153. Gift pack for beginners. Open. The system that suddenly appeared in his mind, Eng made a decision in a flash. Opening. Congratulations to the host for winning a B-level lottery and entering the system space. With the cold mechanical sound of the system echoing in the ears, everything around seemed to be frozen, and at the same time lost all color, turning into a transparent blue. The falling ornaments, Jiro Kyoka's panicked expression, and Anshei's leaning body as he struggles to get out. He stood alone in the azure world as if his soul had come out of his body, scanning everything. As this time stopped, Master Host, this is the system space, which can be understood as speeding up your thinking by tens of millions of times. Eng nodded suddenly, similar to the setting of the accelerated world in the previous life, put this aside for now. The important thing is how to solve the falling decorations. What does the B-level lottery mean? Immediately afterwards, a screen appeared on Anshei's retina, in which were familiar characters who had appeared in Fairy Tail. The function of this system is lottery drawing and exchange. It records the magic mastered by all mages in Fairy Tail. It is determined to cultivate the host into the most comprehensive and strongest mage. Eng took a deep breath to slow down his excited heartbeat, and listened carefully to the introduction of the system. He really needs to calm down and look at his appearance outside. Too anxious to rush forward desperately, the diving figure is extremely unstable. I'm afraid that in the state of subconsciously rushing out just now, let alone saving Jiro Kyoka, he would lose his balance and fall first. There are 4 types of magic. Super magic, lost magic, forbidden magic, and ordinary magic. Super magic, lost magic, and forbidden magic can only be obtained through the exchange function. B-level lottery draws must get a normal magic. A-level lottery draws must get 3 ordinary magic spells. The S-level lottery draw will win all the ordinary magic mastered by a magician. The number of magic spells is guaranteed to be greater than or equal to 3. Eng lowered his head and pondered, recalling the magic system in Fairy Tail. Super magic is the strongest magic in the legend of Fairy Tail, and the 3 magics of the Fairy Tail Guild are among them. Lost magic is magic that has been lost in this world, and there will be some forbidden magic. The dragon-slaying magic mastered by Natsu, Wendy, and Gajeel is among them. Forbidden magic refers to powerful magic with great side effects. Like the absolute freeze mastered by Wooloo, Gray, and Leo, the side effect is that the user's own body will disappear. These magics all have one thing in common, that is, the universal effect or power is stronger than ordinary magic. So it is understandable to use the special exchange function to obtain it. Of course, being able to draw a lottery to get ordinary magic is very good in Anshei's opinion. Because ordinary magic refers to the general term for all magic except for the above 3 types of magic, there are many powerful magics. Such as Kildeth's crushing magic, Milligay's receiving magic, Lucis Protoss magic, Urza's dress-up magic, Gray's ice-forming magic. You must get a common magic. Whether all the mages in Fairy Tail can get the powerful magic depends on Anshei's luck. Eng said. What is the system, what is the redemption function? And how do I get the lucky draw opportunity? Exchange requires the consumption of famous points, and the popularity of the host in the society will be converted into a specific number of famous points. Lucky draw chances. This system will release tasks to reward lottery draw chances based on the world plot of this world, or the experience of the host adults. I see. Eng looked intently at the retina screen, and there were 500 well-known dots in the lower right corner. It seems that he is not ignorant and has a certain reputation. However, he did not draw comics, write novels, sing and other easily famous behaviors. And in this professionalized society full of quirks, hero S. There is no doubt that being a hero S is the easiest way to gain popularity. Different from other industries, there are restrictions on the age of the crowd, children, teenagers, middle-aged, and old people. Hero S. Especially the Hero S Billboard Japan chart, which is ranked twice a year. People of all ages are widely concerned and hotly discussed topics. Go back to the well-known point that Eng has. The 500 points all come from his parents, the deceased professional hero S. Eng already has a good understanding of this strongest wizard system. Then start the draw. As long as it can save Jiro Kyoka, or destroy the decoration, anything is fine. Use the B-level lottery draw. With an order, the screen in Anshei's sight, all the characters of Fairy Tail began to rotate. Start the B-level lottery draw. Congratulations to the host for getting the magic, God's Foot, of Salusuk. Close black lens bracket. Divine Feet, ordinary magic. Gather the magic power in the body and support it on your feet to increase your speed. Close black lens bracket. At the same time, after the draw is over, Selusuk's experience in using the divine foot also appeared in Anse's mind like a spring. In the Fairy Tail Guild, many mages with good relationships will form their own teams. Sarusuk, also known as Jed, is a member of the Shadow Gear team in the Fairy Tail Guild. God Feet, this speed magic is his specialty, although his strength is considered to be at the bottom of the guild. But its running speed is the fastest in the Fairy Tail Guild. In the 24-hour endurance mile race held every year, his record is always the best. Of course, in the 7 years after Fairy Tail, it is hard to say whether this record can be maintained. The current situation of this magic can't be better. Eng clenched his fists excitedly, looking at Jiro Kyoka's eyes with sparkles. Sub-task trigger. Save Jiro Kyoka, task reward, B-level lucky draw once. Close black lens bracket. Accompanied by the last icy mechanical sound of the system, Eng left the system space. At this moment, the appearance of the world changed again. All the colors return back, and time flows again. The falling ornament was still oppressive, threatening the life of Jiro Kyoka below. But Eng stabilized his figure first, and the magic power in his body instantly gathered on his feet. God Feet. Eng uttered a spell lightly, and a miraculous scene happened. Under his feet, a circular blue magic circle suddenly appeared, with a lot of words engraved on it. At the same time, there was a strong wind blowing from the sky around, disturbing the air flow. The blue shadow rushed over faster than lightning. 004 Magic Foot, save Jiro Kyoka. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 005 New Magic, Water Restraint. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. The surrounding crowd had already left the mall, and Eng and Jiro Kyoka also walked out while talking with the mall supervisor. The other party is discussing compensation matters, dangerous accidents caused by their negligence of duty, mental loss and so on. The victim was Jiro Kyoka, so as Eng deliberately slowed down, no one noticed him pulling away. Eng looked into the distance, near the area of the shopping mall, which was divided by a dividing line by the security guards. No entry. But the more this is the case, the more onlookers there are on the edge of the line. They looked into the mall one after another, wanting to know what happened. Not only that, Eng also heard the siren of the police car, getting closer. Feel sorry. Eng looked at Jiro Kyoka's back, with both hands on the ground, and murmured softly. If she slipped away without saying a word, she would be very worried. But the new side missions, as well as the A-level lucky draw for mission rewards, are really not to be missed. The incident of falling ornaments made Eng understand the importance of strength. In my England, the emergence of quirks and superpowers have greatly increased the number of criminals and the crime rate. Not to mention the darkness like AFO, which is always dormant and squirming, and the undercurrent is surging. Just waiting for an opportunity to break the hypocritical peace of this society in one fell swoop. It can be said that the peace of this society is quite fragile, and only relying on All Might, who has the title of symbol of peace, can barely maintain the hypocritical peace. Besides, now that he has the speed magic of God's foot, Eng is still very confident in his ability to escape. God Feet. Then, Eng chanted the spell lightly, and a blue magic circle quietly rose from under his feet. Taking advantage of the opportunity not to be noticed, Eng exploded at an extremely fast speed, and returned to the shopping mall in the blink of an eye. And with the gust of wind blowing from behind, Jiro Kyoka turned around sharply. Only then did she realize that her childhood sweetheart had long since disappeared. The mall's escalators were closed. The sound of Anse's footsteps trampling on it was especially loud in the deserted open-air shopping mall. The location of the villains. Although there was no hint, the connection end of the decoration was blown, and it was on the highest floor of the mall without incident. In fact, as Eng gradually walked up, he heard a faint cry for help. Entering system space. Rescuing Jiro Kyoka earns a B tier draw, and it will depend on whether he has a fight against the villains he is about to meet. If he draws attack magic, he can defeat the villains himself and complete the mission. But if he got an auxiliary magic like Divine Foot, then he could only watch the battle from the sidelines. Use the B-level lottery draw. However, he didn't expect. Start the B-level lottery draw. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, water constraint, of Jubian Rocks. Close black lens bracket. Water flow restraint. Water flow magic, consumes the magic power in the body, and imitates the magic water flow into a water polo to seal the target. Close black lens bracket. At the same time, after the draw is over, Zhu Bian's experience of using water restraint also appeared in Anse's mind like a spring, and even included her love. Not to Eng of course, but to Gray in Fairy Tail. Jubian Rocks, or Rain Girl. Wherever she is, it will definitely rain. Not only can she use all kinds of magic in the water system, but she can also change her body into water. Terrible water talent. She was originally a member of the 4 elements of the Ghost Dominator Guild, but after fighting the Fairy Tail Guild, she fought Gray and fell in love with him. Then, she joined the Fairy Tail Guild and became a member of the protagonist group. In short, the magic of water restraint is a control magic that Eng didn't expect at the beginning. But this magic is not bad, at least it has the power to fight. Eng returned to the real world and moved forward again. Help. On the escalator leading to the highest floor, there was a very clear cry for help. Eng hurried up. It was a space eroded by flames. A man with 2 wings behind him, swept by flames, is in the center of the space, with his left hand pinching the neck of a middle-aged man. Birdman is the appearance of a bird's head, not an exaggerated metaphor. An example would be Tokiyami Fumikage, whose appearance was influenced by quirks, with a crow-like head. Eng observed the Birdman, surrounded by ruined shops and scattered gems on the ground. It seems that this floor is a place for selling jewelry, but the Birdman did not hold any gems, and his purpose was not to rob. In the ruins, several citizens hid inside in fear, trembling. They should be innocent people caught up, too late to escape, and can only wait for the professional hero S or the police to rescue them. Flamingo Hero S. Stop. Do you know that what you are doing now is committing a crime? Only then did Eng realize that a fallen figure was struggling to stand up. He wears a fire helmet and a gas mask, and has what look like water pumps in his hands. Eng recognized his identity, the rescue-type hero S named Fire Buster. His quirks are the pumps for his hands. Because he is extremely good at fire rescue activities, he is often reported on TV. Eng also learned about the hero S, the Fire Buster, in a news report watching TV. Except for those combat-type professional hero S ranked high in the Hero S Bulletin Board Japan list, the rescue-type professional hero S is far more famous than the general combat-type professional hero S. Much higher. And the identity of the Birdman man he mentioned is even more difficult. Hero S. A professional hero S has become a villain's. What is his purpose in this open-air mall? 006 Flamingo Hero S past, Eng who shot. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 700. 175. 233. Birdman Man. Flamingo Hero S. Of course I know I'm committing a crime, and don't call me Hero S such a dirty name. Flamingo's words seemed to ignite the fuse, causing Flamingo's emotions to explode. Could it be that, at this time, the middle-aged man who was pinched by the Flamingo's left hand screamed out in pain? It seems that you finally think of me, Prosecutor Yane Wuen. Flamingo paused with veins in his arm. You are still wandering around the mall, it seems that you are living in style. Eng, who was dormant on the escalator to observe, roughly understood the villains that the Flamingo attacked the mall. Once upon a time Hero S. has been stripped of Hero S license. The purpose of his appearance in this shopping mall is to have a grievance with the prosecutor named Yane Wuen. The falling decorations should be the flames that the Flamingos randomly set, and the high temperature burned one end of the connection. So, are you out for revenge? Yane Wuen said with difficulty. He only felt that his neck was being strangled, and he couldn't breathe at all. But I recalled what happened back then. The thing started 2 years ago. The Birdman just debuted as a Hero S named after the Hero S of Flamingo. In a mission to arrest criminals, he successfully captured the criminals. But the problem is that the Flamingo also used cruel means to torture and kill the criminals. The resulting repercussions caused a sensation in the society. Japanese Occupation Hero S system. Class Hero S does not have the right to kill villains, unless a kill order is issued. Otherwise, it will be regarded as an illegal act, and serious cases will be convicted in court. Yane Takefumi, who was in charge of investigating the Flamingo case, judged his behavior of torturing and killing criminals as a serious case, and sued Flamingo Hero S in court. In the end, Flamingo Hero S was stripped of his license. At the same time, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison and suspended for 2 years. It seems like a very serious sentence, but the word probation is very lenient. Flamingo escaped from prison, and as long as he behaves well within 2 years and no longer commits any crimes, his original 2-year criminal punishment will be cancelled. As for the deprived Hero S license, Flamingo will become a Hero S again if he takes the exam again. As a prosecutor, I will definitely deal with your crime fairly and fairly. Although he knew that his life was in the hands of the Flamingo, Yane Wuen said confidently. And I'll make an exception and let you have a 2-year probation and a chance to repent. Yane Wuen grabbed Flamingo's arm vigorously, but his strength could not move the arm at all. His neck was strangled, and he was about to die. That's right, Flamingo, it's been almost 2 years now, don't be stupid at the last moment. Blazing Fire Buster also persuaded. But this was also a helpless move. He was defeated by the Flamingo, so he had to wait for rescue as long as possible. Apparently his pumped quirks, supposedly restraining Flamingo flames just like his own Hero S name. But the flame that the Flamingo cast at this moment was extremely fierce and scorching hot, and instantly evaporated the water he sprayed. It seems that you haven't understood yet. The most important thing is to notify the public of my sentence. Flamingo sneered and sneered, spitting on the ground. 2 years. Do you know what kind of life I have lived these 2 years? At that time, after the notification of Flamingo's conviction came out, the fishing boats from the outside rushed towards him overwhelmingly. On social networks, there are all criticisms and accusations against him, which makes Flamingo dare not use electronic products at all. Leaving the house, he was recognized by passers-by outside, and they almost pointed at him in the same way. That strange look, as if seeing him as a walking criminal, made Flamingo no longer want to go out. But the problem is that even if he stays at home, even his relatives and parents, the eyes looking at the Flamingo also became cold, making him sit on pins and needles. What made Liao the most desperate was that his girlfriend, who had been with him for many years, also broke up with him. Especially the look in her eyes, she didn't have the admiration for herself as a Hero S in the past, and even spit out the 3 words murderer from her mouth. So, Flamingo was completely desperate and moved to the deserted suburbs alone. At this moment, a man in black approached him and said to him, "Let's break this false peace together and take revenge on those sanctimonious heroes." "That's right. I just killed a criminal, why am I being treated like this? It's all the fault of this society, and the fault of that prosecutor named Yane Wuan." Flamingo, in despair, couldn't help but respond to the man in black's words. "Fallen, voluntarily, into darkness. Then Prosecutor Yane Wuan, let you be the sacrifice for the first step of my revenge plan, please die on the spot." The Flamingo stopped talking nonsense, pinched Yanibufumi's left arm and ignited a flame, preparing to give him the final blow to end his life. "Don't even think about succeeding." Seeing this, Blazing Fire Buster knew that he couldn't delay any longer, so he stretched out the water pump with both hands, and sprayed it at the Flamingo. "Idiots, after getting the quirks enhancer bestowed by the Lord, ordinary water flow is useless to me." The Flamingo paused and waved his right arm. Immediately, the violent flames attacked the water sprayed by the water pump, and the hot and cold collided, causing the surrounding air to surge. But anyone with a discerning eye can see that the flames are still burning, advancing step by step, and I am afraid that Blazing Fire Buster will not be able to hold on soon. Water flow restraint. But Eng, who was watching secretly, wouldn't watch the show all the time. While stretching out his hands, he murmured a spell softly, and a huge blue magic circle appeared and unfolded in his hands. The next moment, the magic water flow formed by the magic power in his body flowed out from the magic circle and attacked the Flamingo. What? Have the other heroes arrived? The Flamingo looked at the new water flow in front of him, and couldn't help feeling a little flustered. The flame of his right arm was temporarily restrained by the fire nemesis, so he had to use the flame of his left arm, but his left hand was pinching Yane Wuan's neck. So he let go of his left hand, planning to deal with the sudden attack first, and then use his foot to step on Yane Wuan so that he can't break free from his claws. However, a strong gust of wind blew along with the high temperature of its own flames. Even if it was Flamingo himself who released the flames, he had to close his eyes to avoid it. God feet. Flamingo opened his eyes again, only to find that Yane Wuan had disappeared, only in the blink of an eye. It was Eng who rescued Yane Wuan, and he took the prosecutor to the side of Blazing Buster. This exaggerated speed stunned the professional heroes. The water restraint is just a feint attack, Anzhe's plan is to rescue the hostage Yane Wuan first, so that he can fight without any scruples. 007 Pun. Beat the Flamingo. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 321. 80. 107. What's the situation? Is there finally a hero to support? Some citizens hiding in the ruins thought hero was coming to rescue, so they poked their heads out to check. No, just a student. It's over, the only hero fire nemesis is no match for villains at all. As a result, they saw the student uniform on Anzhe's body, and each of them withdrew their heads in despair. Count on a student to beat villains. It's too silly to talk about dreams. Not to mention that Flamingo is still the original hero trained by hero to fight. Of course, the rescued people definitely don't think so. Thank you so much, cough, boy. Yane Wuan, who survived the catastrophe, lay facelessly on the ground. The throat can't stop the nauseating cough, but the feeling of being able to take a big breath is the first time since I was born that I feel so wonderful. Young man, you've done a good job. Hurry up and take Prosecutor Yane Wuan away. I'll hold you back here. The fire buster next to him put away his surprise at Anzhe's speed, and said bravely. Flamingo's target of revenge is Yane Wuan, and he should not attack innocent citizens hiding in the ruins. If the target is gone, he who is crazy at the moment may be able to calm down. Then, just procrastinate for a while, and wait until the support arrives. Although Lai Huoxing is not sure whether he can hold on. The only reliance was the important information that Flamingo had spoken just now. That is, he injected the potion enhanced by quirks, and it is no wonder that the power of his flame has been greatly improved, surpassing the water sprayed by his own water pump. And this quirks potion definitely has a time limit and great side effects. This is also the only hope that Fire Buster feels. Want to run? Impossible. The Flamingo in the distance sensed the thoughts of Blazing Fire Buster, flapped the unused wings behind him violently, and slowly suspended in the air. Not only that, but with the flapping of the wings, the stream of flames rises. It turned into 2 blades of fire, sweeping through the air current, attacking fiercely. The target is not Eng and others, but the escalators leading to the floors below, and the railings that can be climbed. It is similar to forming a flame barrier, blocking the escape route. Damn it, I'll reduce the fire and give you a chance to escape. Blazing Fire Buster gritted his teeth in difficulty, pointed the water pump in the direction of the escalator, and a huge jet of water sprayed out. Zzz. The expansion and vaporization reaction of water when it meets fire suddenly produces a fierce sound. But Eng keenly found that the momentum of the water flow was getting smaller and smaller, but the fire was not extinguished much. Like the powerlessness of throwing a bucket of water in a forest fire. With quirks, most of the time it consumes the user's activity. Of course some quirks will also consume other substances. Not to mention a few cases, the less active the body is, the less intense the quirks will be. Lai Huoxing is in this state now, his face has instantly turned pale, and his figure is a little unsteady. It seems that he realized his mistake and ignored the situation where he used too much quirks. With the scale of his current spraying water, trying to delay the flames of the flamingo is also a kind of idiotic dream. How can I do? Fire Nemesis, don't be brave, leave the rest to me. Just when Fire Buster was at a loss, Anzhe's figure appeared in front of his sight. Eng smiled confidently, opened his mouth slightly, and a magic circle rose under his feet. In an instant, the momentum of the surrounding flames changed, and a strong wind suddenly blew. Eng rushed towards the flamingo in midair, kicking it with one blow. There was not even a blink of an eye in this series of actions. Rao was a flamingo who used to be a hero, and he didn't expect Anzhe's terrifying speed at all. But in an emergency, the flamingo lets the flames of its wings extend to protect itself like a fire shield. Boom. However, he still couldn't stabilize his figure, and fell to the ground with a dull sound. It is the strong wind pressure generated by Anzhe's flying kick. Rather, Anzhe's goal from the beginning was to shoot down the flamingos in the sky. His quirks couldn't even fly, and the flames could only come from his arms and wings. Understood, thank you for reminding me. The reminder from Blazing Fire Buster made Eng nod thoughtfully. The flight of the flamingo should be related to the quirk's strengthening potion, as well as the increase in the power of the flame, but it seems that the limitation of releasing the flame has not changed. You kid, don't study hard, do you dream of becoming a hero? Along with the dust and thick smoke, the flamingo stood up angrily, and its arms and wings were ablaze. It's not about dreaming of being a hero, it's about having to be a hero. Anzhe's eyes flickered, and he turned his hands towards the flamingo, and another blue magic circle appeared. Water flow restraint. In this case, let me teach you, little brat, the cruelty of being a hero. The flamingo sneered, and 3 terrifying streams of flames attacked Eng at the same time. However, the water flowing out of the magic circle was one step faster, colliding with the flames cast by the flamingo in 3 directions that had been predicted. 3 battlefields. Different from the water sprayed by the Fire Buster water pump, the 3 magical water streams cast by Eng all suppressed the respective fires for a while. How is it possible? I was strengthened by the flame of quirks, but I was suppressed by ordinary water. The scene in front of him shattered the flamingo's confidence in his flame, and a look of panic appeared on his face. What I cast is not an ordinary water flow. Eng smiled lightly. What he cast was a water flow formed by magic power, of course it was not ordinary. Moreover, what I cast is not an ordinary water flow. A pun, the same words, but Eng accentuated the tone of different positions. The flamingo, who heard it in his ears, swallowed hard, feeling a bad premonition in his heart. The next moment, the bad premonition came true. The water flow first expanded and spread on its own, and slowly formed a closed spherical space, which also completely enveloped the fire. Extinguish in one fell swoop. It's not over yet. The magic circle in Anzhe's hands did not dissipate, and continued to provide magic power to cast magic. Thus, the magic water continued to attack the flamingo. The latter's face was extremely pale, and he wanted to try his best to drive quirks, but it was already too late. The moment the water flow touched the flamingo's body, it flowed and formed the water polo just now, completely restraining the flamingo's body in it. Water restraint. No. The flamingo kept spitting out small blisters, and struggled like dancing with its hands and feet, but in the end it was just a futile effort. It was as if he had been thrown into the deep ocean and drowned inside this ball of water. Its flaming quirks couldn't even spark. After 3 minutes like this, unable to breathe, lack of oxygen to the brain, the flamingo lost consciousness. And Eng immediately dissipated the restraint of the water flow. If he accidentally killed the other party, the consequences would be serious. At the same time, the cold mechanical sound of the system rang in my ears. Congratulations to the host for completing the side mission and winning the A-level lottery once. Close black lens bracket. 008 Anzhe's parents, classification of hero S office. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. The burden is still heavy. It seems that I need to strengthen my body and cultivate my magic power. After defeating the flamingos, an A-level draw was won, and Eng had a mixture of joy and tiredness on his face. After all, it was the first time I used magic today, and I used it one after another. It is normal for my physical strength to be a little weak. But how can we avoid punishment at that time? Eng rested his forehead in thought, although he acted bravely and defeated the villain's flamingo. But it still violates the quirks usage law. You can't say that you are not using quirks, but more magical magic, right? Of course, one day, he might reveal this secret to the public, but not now. Back to Japanese quirks usage. Ordinary citizens can use quirks to protect themselves when they are in danger. However, you can't take the initiative to use quirks to hurt people, unless there is a professional hero present as a guarantee, otherwise the offender will be punished according to the severity. Like in my English plot, the hero killer incident, Green Valley Izuku, Shoto Todoroki, and Iida Ida are the best examples. They defeated the hero killer, but were still punished for wounding with quirks. But this punishment has been erased, and what can be replaced is that everything they have done and their achievements will not be known to the world. Eng doesn't want to do this. What does he need most now? Reputation. Super magic, lost magic, and forbidden magic all require famous points to exchange. So Eng wants to use the flamingo incident to enhance his reputation in the society. This student actually beat the villains. It's incredible. So strong, so handsome. Seeing the current situation, the citizens hiding in the ruins burst into cheers immediately. They looked at Eng again, like watching a rising pearl. Facing the flash and sound of taking pictures on the mobile phone, Eng showed a planned smile, and bowed slightly to accept the praise as before. Then he raised his head and looked at Blazing Fire Buster. This professional hero S will be the key to exempting himself from punishment. Coincidentally, Fire Buster and Yane Wuan also approached Eng at the same time. Hero S is really a boy, this is my business card, please accept it. Yane Takefumi straightened his tie and regained the calmness needed by a prosecutor. I owe you a favor, what will happen in the future if you need my help, as long as you don't violate the law, I will do my best. Eng readily accepted the business card, a favor from a prosecutor, a surprise. The position of the other party will definitely provide a great help, not to mention anything else, if Eng wants to reopen the Hero S office left by his parents. Relationship verification is a big trouble, and Yang Wuan's status as a prosecutor can help him solve these troubles. But the premise is that Eng must meet the conditions. That's being a Hero S. By the way, young man, I don't know your name yet. Yane Wuan asked. Eng smiled and said, my name is Eng, and I am a sophomore in the nearby Duoguchang Public Junior High School. After hearing Anzhe's self-introduction, the Fire Buster next to him widened his eyes in surprise. Eng. Could it be that you are the child of the two couples from Dragon Hero S? Quote. Hearing her parents' Hero S names, Eng couldn't help but nodded in amazement. Immediately, Fire Buster was in awe and bowed solemnly to Eng. When I debuted, I received a lot of help from them, which saved me a lot of detours on the road of Hero S, and I benefited a lot. Blazing Fire Buster talked about the origin at that time, paused, and continued. Although it's a pity that I couldn't join their firm, they are also my guides. Now it was Anzhe's turn to be surprised, but after thinking about it, it was normal, the connections left by the parents of professional Hero S. It can be seen from Anzhe's name that he is not Japanese, but a Chinese from the place where quirks originated. Anzhe's parents, or the whole family, quirks is related to dragon transformation. Though he is the rare quirkless. When his parents were alive, both broke into the top 10 of the Hero S Billboard Japan list, and the two shared a Hero S name, Dragon Hero S. And Eng also has a cousin, which is Dragon Knight Hero S number 9 on the current list, Dragon 9. Eng has traveled so far, but has not met his cousin. I often see her on TV, wearing a Chinese-style cheongsam, and then the dragon transforms into a huge white dragon. Quite spectacular. So the two professional Hero S who have entered the top 10 on the list, the fame and influence in the Hero S circle can be imagined. Therefore, it is normal for Fire Buster to show such respect to Anzhe's parents. Speaking of which, if I exchanged for dragon-slaying magic, wouldn't that be considered a type of dragon transformation? Eng thought to himself, and looked at Blazing Fire Buster. His quirks are two-handed water pumps, perfect for fire rescue and other scenarios, and rescue-type professional Hero S. However, the Hero S firm established by Anzhe's parents is a purely fighting firm. Hero S offices are roughly divided into three categories: combat, general, and rescue. Combat-type firm, specialized in accepting commissions from Hero S who catch criminals and villains. Rescue firms are entrusted by Hero S who specialize in disaster relief. There are two extremes, among which the Hero S under the firm rarely accept other Hero S commissions. A comprehensive firm is a comprehensive representative. Hero S missions to fight villains, rescue disaster Hero S missions, or Hero S missions to patrol areas are almost always involved. As for Fire Buster, quirks should not be suitable for fighting, but he was also recommended by Anzhe's parents and entered a certain rescue office. In this way, Eng has another idea about Fire Buster. Pull him in. There aren't many jobs in Hero S office. Hero S can't do it. I want to become a Hero S, inherit my parents' Hero S firm, and transform it into a comprehensive firm. Eng extended an invitation to Fire Buster, and paused. When the time comes, Senior Fire Buster, would you like to join as the first professional Hero S in my firm? Liehuo Buster was startled, and his head didn't turn around a bit. Eng introduced himself and said that he is only a sophomore in middle school, and he didn't even go to high school. Indeed, it is now September, and the Hero S license assessment will be held twice a year in June and September. But Anzhe's age is not yet in the minimum range for participating in the assessment. 009 How to inherit the office and become a Hero S. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 750. 188. 250. If one day, Eng, you become a professional Hero S, I'd love it. After thinking about it, Blazing Fire Buster agreed to Anzhe's invitation. The upcoming license exam almost made him think that Eng was about to take the illusion. But how is it possible? Eng is now in the second year of junior high school, and it will be at least 4 or 5 years before he meets the minimum age limit for taking the assessment. It has been many years since Blazing Fire Buster debuted. In terms of fame, the rescue class Hero S is top-notch. After 4 or 5 years, he should also withdraw from the front line and give more opportunities to the younger generation of Hero S. At that time, Eng really became a Hero S, so he should repay his favor and join his firm. That's good, but resignation and firm transfer, these related matters are very troublesome. Senior Fire Buster, you need to prepare early. Eng smiled slightly, anticipating what Fire Buster was thinking at this moment. He played a trick. What do you mean? Blazing Fire Buster was taken aback, obviously not understanding the meaning of Anzhe's words. In the near future, I plan to participate in the license examination in September. Recently. The two looked at each other, one was stunned, the other laughed. Fire Buster thought he heard it wrong, until Eng nodded slightly. But even if it's a temporary license examination, Eng, you can't meet the conditions to participate. There are two types of Hero S license exams. One is a professional licensure examination to become a professional Hero S, and the other is a temporary licensure examination for students who are enrolled in Hero S subjects. It is not possible to open a Hero S office with a temporary Hero S license. There are 3 restrictions on participating in the professional license examination. Must be of legal age, have graduated from the Hero S department of high school, and have more than 2 years of Hero S activity internship experience. These 3 conditions, with a clear eye, Eng does not meet the conditions. Could it be that Eng doesn't understand these rules yet? Fire Buster, who thought this way, saw Eng turn his head again, and looked at Prosecutor Yane Wuan next to him. Eng said, "The method I took is another way, through inheritance." Inherit. Yane Wuan frowned. As a prosecutor working in law, he instantly understood what Eng meant. Yane Takefumi showed a dazed expression, and said, "This is indeed a method. Japan's Hero S system has not been established for many years, and many regulations are not perfect. The existence of AFO has been concealed by the Japanese government. When the AFO ruled Japan, the Japanese government was a joke. Until the appearance of All Might, known as a symbol of peace, seriously injuring AFO was a lose-lose situation, and the latter could only retreat into the darkness and lie dormant. The so-called peace, law, and government are the real effectiveness and construction. It's only been 10 years since this incident. There is an incomplete law concerning the Hero S firm. In that chaotic era, villains walked everywhere, and there was no professional Hero S firm. Rather, the organization where several like-minded people of justice gathered together is the predecessor of Hero S office. These organizations, for the weak Japanese government at the time, were rarely able to demonstrate their authority. But the problem is that in the era of chaos, these organizations are equivalent to early birds. Countless villains regard it as the primary goal, kill the leaders of the organization, and destroy these organizations. As a result, the Japanese government came up with a law in order to continue the situation of the organization's demise after the death of the leader. That is, the descendants of the leader can directly inherit the organization according to their wishes and after passing the assessment. Until now, these organizations were called Hero S firms, and the law changed accordingly. If the professional Hero S who established the firm dies, according to the wishes of the descendants, he can inherit the firm after passing the Hero S license examination with a unique mechanism. The biggest feature of this law is the unique mechanism, which is different from the normal Hero S license examination. Age, graduation from Hero S, and internship experience are all not required. What is needed is a nominal guarantee, and the strength to pass the assessment. The nominal guarantee is the character of the heir, and there must be a guarantee of the reputation of at least 3 professional Hero S. As for the ability to pass the assessment, Eng didn't have any confidence before waking up the system. But now that the system is awakened, Eng is 100% confident of passing it. Although I can't think of this method for a while, it's too difficult to pass the assessment, isn't it? Blazing Fire Buster scratched his head in difficulty, almost unable to function like a crash. It's too suspenseful. It is unprecedented for a junior high school student to participate in the Hero S license examination. I'm afraid those guys who made the law didn't expect this to happen, did they? Senior Fire Buster, the flamingo strengthened by quirks, he shouldn't be weak, right? Eng pointed to the flamingo which fell unconscious on the ground, and the meaning it expressed was self-evident. Blazing Fire's nemesis was speechless for a moment. The strength displayed by the flamingo was far from weak, it could be said to be very tricky. At least there must be more than 3 professional Hero S and cooperation can defeat them. But Eng, without a doubt, defeated the flamingo alone. This strength, police and support classes Hero S are long overdue when Fire Busters are silent. Handle the scene, arrest the flamingos, and take notes afterwards. When everyone realized that the flamingo was actually defeated by Eng, a junior high school student, one can imagine their surprised expressions. As for the case of using quirks to hurt people, when Blazing Fire Buster was stunned, Eng took the lead and said that he was guaranteed by the name of Blazing Fire Buster. In response to this, Blazing Nemesis, who had just reacted, had no choice but to help Eng take the blame with a wry smile. That was the end of the flamingo incident. Not to mention the end, it aroused enthusiastic repercussions in the outside world. Once Hero S forced to become villains. And Eng, a junior high school student, shined brilliantly and defeated villains. 0102 people under the moonlight night. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. A round of silver moon hangs high in the sky, spilling 10,000 hectares of silver light. The watery moonlight passed through the earth and landed on a young man, all silvery white. It was Eng. After he finished recording the dictation, he slipped away from the mall ahead of time. Because there will be a bunch of reporters with microphones rushing in, asking a lot of troublesome questions. There were many citizens present, and they also took photos of the flamingos fighting with themselves. It is enough to spread it on the internet and increase its popularity. Eng didn't want to be surrounded by those reporters. Outside, Jiro Kyoka, the childhood sweetheart, was not seen. Probably being picked up by his uncle and aunt, the director of the mall contacted Jiro Kyoka's parents. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew by and the skirt swayed. Eng narrowed his eyes and looked. In front of the line of sight, in front of the door of an apartment, the girl held her wind-blown hair with one hand, as if waiting for someone. That apartment is Anse's residence. So who this girl is, needless to say. Jiro Kyoka was not wearing a school uniform, but a pure white coat, standing tall and graceful. The black knee-length skirt could not conceal the girl's slender legs, and the arc from knee to ankle was graceful and charming. Under the moonlight, her skin was as white as cream. An idea came to Anse's mind to play tricks on the girl. Quietly approaching Jiro Kyoka's back, watching the wisp of deep purple blown by the wind, Eng touched and shook. As silky and smooth as milk chocolate, it will slip out of your hands if you don't pay attention. At the same time, Eng called softly, Kyoka. Ah. Jiro Kyoka turned and jumped like a frightened cat when he heard it. And Eng spread his arms, looking like he was waiting for a hug. Then, boom. There is no excitement in the scene of embracing someone, but the girl clenched her fist and hit someone hard in the chest. Eng curled up in pain, raised his head, and Jiro Kyoka looked at him puffed up with his arms back. Angry Jiro Kyoka is cute though. HMPH, who told you to leave without a word? Distress flashed across Jiro Kyoka's eyes. He took out his phone, swiped to a news item, and placed it in front of Eng. The content of the news is naturally the open-air shopping mall incident. As a student, Eng defeated the flamingo who couldn't even deal with the professional hero S. Of course, the news headline is to attract attention. After all, Firebuster is a rescue-type hero S, so it's normal for him not to be good at fighting. Immediately afterwards, Jiro Kyoka began to take off Anse's shirt. This operation startled the young man. Then Anse's school uniform was stripped off, and Jiro Kyoka couldn't help but blush when he saw his strong figure without any wounds, and at the same time he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Kyoka, it's okay, that flamingo is so weak, how could it hurt me? Eng smiled, took back the school uniform without hesitation, and put it on again. But aren't you quirkless? Jiro Kyoka gritted his teeth. In the news report, Eng used the water polo ability to subdue the flamingo. Actually, I awakened quirks, not quirkless, I just didn't notice it before. Eng still replied with a smile. The two childhood sweethearts had been fighting together since childhood. It's perfectly normal to punch a punch and pinch your waist. Only tonight, Jiro Kyoka's side face was so red that he couldn't even look directly at him. Jiro Kyoka didn't continue to ask, and didn't know how to proceed with the next topic for a while, so he fell silent. That, times two. With the same voice, the two had a tacit understanding of what they wanted to say, and when they found out that the car had crashed, they stopped in a tacit understanding at the same time. Let me talk first, Eng said. Generally speaking, it is women first, but now let me be the leader as a man. Sorry. Hey, wait, I should be the one to say I'm sorry. Seeing Eng bowed his head and apologized, Jiro Kyoka panicked and quickly bowed his head to apologize. The result? Boom. The two heads collided, and the two covered their heads with their hands in pain, and looked at each other at the same time. They looked at each other and smiled. The embarrassing atmosphere was resolved, and the familiar atmosphere like childhood sweethearts returned. Really, Eng, why are you apologizing? It's me who should be apologizing. Jiro Kyoka twisted one hand around his dark purple hair, a little embarrassed. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have imagined at that critical moment. Whatever happens, it puts you in danger. No, if I hadn't asked you to borrow money to buy drinks, Kyoka, you wouldn't have been in that danger. Eng shook his head lightly. At that time he was quite self-blaming. If not for himself, Jiro Kyoka would not have faced this crisis. Fortunately, the system was awakened in time, otherwise Eng couldn't imagine what the consequences of the falling decoration would be. And rather than hearing a heavy sorry, I hope to hear a grateful thank you. Thank you for saving you in a critical moment. Such words will make me happier. Eng shrugged and smiled brightly. Jiro Kyoka seemed a little coy about what Eng said, and finally took a deep breath and said. Thank you for saving me, Eng. Looking at Jiro Kyoka who was staring at him firmly, Eng somehow felt the temperature on his face rise a bit. Eng turned his face to the side, concealed it, and replied like this. I always feel that I have been treated violently. Now I am not used to such a soft tone. Who is violent? As soon as the words fell, Jiro Kyoka thumped Anse's chest again, but Rikido was very light. Like just now, only she was a little annoyed. Eng left without saying a word, but under normal circumstances, Jiro Kyoka is still very feminine and careful. Sorry, just kidding. Just like that, Eng watched Jiro Kyoka go home and turned to open the door of the apartment. At the same time, the flamingo who was being interrogated died suddenly. The potion he said to strengthen quirks was far from that simple. 011 The death of the flamingo, A-level lottery. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. On the edge of the city near the outskirts, there is a closed factory. The sky was dark, there were no street lights, and naturally there were no residents living nearby. In contrast, the inside of the factory is brightly lit. Many researchers in white coats completed their own work in a strict and orderly manner, fiddle with test tubes one by one. These researchers have a common feature, all body parts are affected by quirks and become part of animals. One of the men with a gorilla head was holding a pen and paper in his hand, and asked the man with winged arms, how is the effect of the quirk strengthening potion that was put in at the beginning? We have distributed hundreds of them all over the country, most of which are in uncontrolled gray areas. What is worth mentioning is the strengthening potion for flamingos. The winged man paused, handed over a report, and continued. This is the data of his use of potions. Quirk's overall improvement has met our expectations. The gorilla-headed man shook his head and said, the expectation is far from enough. We need to improve the potion's effect better, and put in more Quirk's strengthening potions. But it's easy to attract the attention of the police. Taking advantage of the chaos, this is an opportunity. It's not so easy for the police to find our hidden laboratory. The gorilla-headed man sneered, flipping through the paper in his hand, and said. And the drugs we put in are all fatal side effects. The police should be having a headache now. After turning to the page number, the orangutan-headed man handed the paper to the winged man, with 2 portraits on it. M. Size's invisible raincoat and Iron Shark, contact these 2 people, they should be able to provide good data. Yes. At the same time, the police station was in chaos. A flamingo waking up from unconsciousness from drowning. He was being interrogated, but before he asked a few questions, he suddenly foamed at the mouth, bleeding from his 7 orifices, and died on the spot. The cause of death waited until the forensic medical staff came over and detected the lethal toxin in the flamingo's body. It should be the reason for the Quirk's strengthening potion that he revealed earlier. But the crux of the matter is whether the flamingo died or died during the interrogation. This time and that time. At the beginning, the flamingo tortured and killed the criminal, and was cast aside by outside fishing boats. But the reason why he devoted himself to the darkness made those who had treated him maliciously inevitably feel guilty in their hearts. This caused the fishing boats in the outside world to turn, and they all lamented it. So at this juncture, the death of the flamingo will put their police under enormous pressure on the fishing boat. Eng, who was lying on the bed at home, still didn't know about the turmoil in the outside world. That day was Friday, followed by the weekend, and there was no need to get up early for school. He took a shower and fell asleep happily. It was the first time I used magic power, and I was a little tired mentally. When the sun shines through the window in the morning, Eng wakes up refreshed. Come to the lottery draw. A-level lottery draw. I hope to draw good magic. The A-level lottery obtained by defeating the flamingo will be the key to whether Eng can have power and pass the Hero's license examination. Entering system space. The magic that Eng has mastered now includes speed-type magic feat, control-type water flow restraint, and there is no attack-type magic yet. A-level lottery will win 3 ordinary magic spells. There must be a stronger offensive magic. Eng ordered, staring at the screen on his retina, praying in his heart. Use the A-level lottery. Start A-level lottery. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, Emperor Yan's armor, from Aluza Shukuleto, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, wing, of, Filled Justin, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host for winning the magic, Thunder and Rage, of, Laxus Dolea, in the lottery. Close black lens bracket. At the same time, after the draw is over, the experience of the 3 wizards using these 3 magics, like a flood breaking through a dam, filled Anse's mind. There's not enough brain capacity. But the 3 newly acquired spells, especially the powerful attack magic like Thunder Pressure and Rage, made Eng feel joyful. After a while, Eng finally received it and checked the 3 spells carefully. The armor of Emperor Yan, dressed in magic, holding a fire sword, has excellent fire resistance and uses magic armor of flames. Close black lens bracket. Urza Sukuleto, Fairy Queen, one of the core members of the protagonist group in Fairy Tail. Her powerful strength and the charm of changing armor with different appearances must be deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Dress-up magic is a very convenient and powerful magic. Items stored in magical different spaces, such as swords and armor, can be summoned anytime and anywhere. And Urza is the dress-up magic of the knights, and she can change the magic armor on her body freely, so as to obtain various power-enhancing effects. And even if the armor is damaged, it can be restored automatically. Yan Emperor's armor, just like the name, is the nemesis of all fire elements. It also gives Eng the ability to use fire, but shouldn't I also have a double ponytail hairstyle? Eng hesitated. After Urza puts on this set of armor, her hair will be tied into double ponytails. And when Eng thought of wearing the Emperor Yan's armor, his refreshing short hair changed into 2 braids. Mouth area. Can't imagine, can't bear to look directly. Anyway, let's put down the hairstyle aspect first. Next, Eng checked the second spell. Wings, word magic, make yourself grow wings and fly. Close black lens bracket. Philip Justin, captain of the Thunder Gods squad in the Fairy Tail Guild. He respects Laxus very much, and the magic he is good at is the dark version of word magic, dark words. For example, using a sword to write words on the target or itself can turn the words into reality. But the wing that Eng drew was an auxiliary type of magic. Gives birth to wings and has the ability to fly. It's not bad, and Yandi's armor happens to not have the ability to fly. In fact, most of the armors collected by Urza have the ability to fly, and the Yandi's armor is one of the few. Finally, there is Laxus lightning magic. Thunderstorm Rage, thunder magic, gathers a large amount of lightning on the top of the villains to form a thunder cloud, falling straight down, crushing the opponent. Close black lens bracket. 012 Exchange Mall, a call from Aunt Biao Longju. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 524. 131. 175. Speaking of which, Laxus Dolea, the grandson of the fairy tale guild Makarov. At the beginning, he appeared as a villain, a super S-class wizard, and his strength is particularly powerful. Not to mention that he was inlaid with a thunder magic crystal, became a dragon slayer mage of the second generation, and obtained the thunder dragon slayer magic. Therefore, he also masters various magics of the thunder system. It is worth mentioning that in Fairy Tale Civil War, Laxus uses the super magic, Fairy Law. Conquering darkness with divine light, targets everything the caster considers to be the villains, and defeats the opponent mentally. It is said that as long as it is conscious, it can destroy the whole world. However, no one was injured in Fairy Tale, which means that Laxus loved Fairy Tale in his heart and did not regard them as villains. What a Tsunere. In short, apart from the Thunder Dragon Slayer magic, Thunderstorm Rage is the strongest magic among the thunder magic that Laxus has mastered. Of course, like Shenming Temple, it transcends ordinary magic and is a taboo magic. After carefully examining the magic obtained in the A-level lottery, Eng looked at the lower right corner of the retina screen. His well-known points have increased from 1,000 points to 2,000 points. Defeating the Flamingo will increase the reputation a lot. This is because Eng didn't accept the reporter's interview, otherwise the famous point will increase even more. 2,000 famous points, let's see what magic can be exchanged for. With this idea in Anshei's mind, he called the system and opened the shop with the redemption function. There are so many things to see. Ultra magic, forbidden magic, lost magic, every kind of magic makes Eng covet. It's just the well-known points that need to be exchanged, which also makes Eng frightened. Absolutely frozen, forbidden magic, requires 50,000 famous points. Each of the 3 super magics of the Fairy Tale Guild requires 100,000 famous points. Akunologia's dark dragon slaying magic requires 500,000 famous points. Even for the lost magic mastered by Melty, Asma, etc., the minimum required is 10,000 famous points. Is there no magic with less than 10,000 famous points? After flipping through super magic, taboo magic, and some lost magic, Eng, who was disappointed, continued to scroll down. Come to the part of the lost magic, the magic of dragon slaying. Then, the fire dragon slayer magic only needs 3,000 famous points. There are other dragon slaying magics that only need 3,000 famous points. Eng exclaimed, afraid that he might be wrong. He now has 2,000 famous points, and as long as he gets another 1,000 famous points, he can exchange for a dragon slaying magic. System, what's going on here? Soon, the system's icy mechanical voice appeared in my mind. Master host, the magic exchanged by the well-known point, there is no magician who has mastered this magic, and the experience of using this magic. The exchange of 3,000 famous points is only the basic template of dragon slaying magic. Both the dragon slaying mystery and the dragon slaying mode require additional exchange by the host. I see. Take Naz's fire dragon slaying magic as an example, his dragon slayer mystery, Red Lotus blasting blade and Red Lotus phoenix sword, etc. There are also Lei Yanlong mode, Yanlongwang mode and so on. These require Eng extra, redeemed with well-known points. So if Eng exchanged the dragon slaying magic of fire, it would probably be to the extent that Natsu had just learned dragon slaying magic when he was a child. From this point of view, it is still a pity. The lottery won not only the magic, but also the magician's experience in using the magic. How to cast the most effective magic in the fastest and most magic-saving way. Even various enemies, situations, extended use and application experience of magic. This kind of experience makes Eng no longer need to stumble and fumble, its value is definitely very precious. But it's not bad. After accumulating enough famous points, let's exchange it for a dragon slaying magic. Having made up his mind, Eng left the system space and returned to the real world. Looking up, the sky outside the window is exceptionally blue, as if washed with water. How many cotton candy-like white clouds are scattered, giving people a lazy and comfortable feeling of relaxation. Suddenly, Anshei's cell phone rang. He picked up the phone, and the caller's note was actually his cousin from Longju. Eng thought for a while, according to seniority, Longju should be his cousin. Select connect. A mature and friendly female voice soon came from the opposite side. Hello, is this Xiao Jie? It's me, Aunt Longju, what's the matter? A slightly embarrassed laugh came from the opposite side. I'm sorry, I haven't contacted you all this time. I saw the news report, and... Well, Xiao Jie, come to my house for dinner tonight. Eng subconsciously refused to answer. No need. He didn't want to see this person, or the person in this world who was related to this body by blood. Are you angry with your aunt? Came the aggrieved voice. That's not. Eng just showed a distressed expression. Then it's settled like this, you come tonight, Xiao Luowan is here too. Anshei's cousin, Longju, made the final decision directly, with a tone that could not be refused, otherwise, I can go to you and come to you as a dragon. Go. Go with the little conch. After emphasizing it again, the phone was hung up. Why? Eng sighed, it seemed that he had to go there. When was the last time you met Longju? Anyway, Eng hasn't crossed over yet, it's at his parents' funeral. In fact, it wasn't on the phone, what Longju said had never contacted Eng. She even asked Eng to live in her house and offered to support him, but was rejected by the original owner of the body. Not only that, he didn't answer Longju's calls. It was when his mentality exploded that he completely blocked his heart and was unwilling to contact anyone. Then, he chose to commit suicide at home, and Eng traveled to this world. And the small spiral in Longzhou's mouth is the big three of UA. High school, the undulating spiral. According to the current point of time, she is still a first-year student, and she should not have won this title yet. In short, Longzhou has always emphasized the undulating spiral, which is the body occupied by Eng. He has been secretly in love with someone, and the object is undulating helix. 013 in Longzhou's home, the wave spirals. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Logically speaking, as childhood sweethearts, Eng and Jiro Kyoka are actually more likely to have feelings for each other, right? It is not. The two childhood sweethearts have been together since childhood. Day after day, we run and fight together. Quarrel and reconciliation, intimacy. But as time passed, the body and age gradually grew. Aware of the gap between men and women, the sense of familiarity will instead become an obstacle, widening the sense of distance between the two. Especially the classmates in the class will make trouble with this relationship. Embarrassed, I couldn't keep my face down, so I gradually alienated. The atmosphere between him and Jiro Kyoka would have been much better if Eng hadn't traveled over here and spent a year together. Jingle. The phone rang again, interrupting Anse's thinking. An email was sent. Xiao Jie, my family lives in room 424, Treasure Island apartment, U City, Jiangzhou. You must arrive on time before 6 o'clock. Longzhou and her office are located in Yushi, Jiangzhou in the Kansai region, and it takes about half an hour by tram. It is worth mentioning that there are more famous firms there. Chubby Rubber Hero SS office, and former All Might's assistant Night Eye's office. I see, I'll be there on time. After replying an email, Eng began to practice magic power. His magic power is not too much, and he can cast up to 2 thunderstorms. Unknowingly, the sun has already set to the west, and the sky is gradually getting dark. Eng had already arrived near the address of the mail, and instead of rushing in, he went to a nearby convenience store to buy some fruit. When you come to visit for the first time, you can't keep your hands empty, that would be impolite. As night falls, the lights come on. 10 minutes before 6 o'clock, Eng sent another text message. The apartment at the address belongs to a high-end area, and the houses inside are all the size of villas. Soon, Eng looked up, and a figure walked towards him. Xiao Jie, good evening. A tall, lean, short-haired woman in a white and red cheongsam, showing a gentle and mature air, greeted her with a smile. Eng nodded. Aunt Longzhou, good evening. Dragon 9, the professional hero S rank number 9 on the hero S list. Whether in public or in private, I like to wear cheongsam, and I have a very good figure. Big sister type. It's just that her quirks are very contrasting, and the cheongsam on her body is also a battle suit made of special materials. Her quirks are dragons, so when she transforms into Jackie Chan, she still has a cheongsam that has been enlarged countless times, which really leaves a deep impression on people. Just come, you don't need to bring anything. Longzhou looked at the bag of fruit in Anse's hand. This cousin's child grew up and became more sensible. At least I got out of the haze, not as paranoid and autistic as before. Led by Longzhou, Eng came to the courtyard of a typical Japanese-style Japanese residence. The color is mainly gray and white, and many flowers and plants are planted in the yard. The breeze blows suddenly, and the dark fragrance is tangy. Come in, what are you doing standing stupidly at the door? I was attracted by the scenery here, the scenery is very good. Eng smiled lightly and walked into it. Longzhou took out a pair of slippers from the shoe cabinet in the entrance, and said, just put the fruit on the floor against the wall. Look at this pair of slippers, do you fit them well? Eng put on slippers, took 2 steps, put down the fruit, and said with a smile, it fits well. That's good. Longzhou looked at Eng with a gratified gaze. I haven't seen you for almost a year and a half, Xiaoj, you have grown a lot taller. You used to be very unhappy and always made people feel gloomy, but now you are sensible and sunny. Take good care of yourself. Eng smiled. People always grow up. Come in, the little spiral roll is also inside, I'll go prepare dinner first. Longzhou finished feeling, showed a meaningful smile, and walked towards the kitchen. Eng shook his head helplessly, walked into the room, his eyes were attracted by a young girl. Long hair as blue as the sky, a white sailor suit with a gray coat, set off her excellent figure. Pair it with a dark blue skirt, sit on a chair, and show off your fair and flawless thighs. Curves in the true sense. What a beautiful person. Eng was amazed in his heart. The girl also noticed Eng, waved her hand and greeted with a smile. Xiao Jie, long time no see. Sister Luowan, good evening. While speaking, undulating helix came up bouncingly, leaned down, and stared at Eng with a pair of clear blue eyes. A familiar scene, unlike Jiro Kyoka back then. This time, under the fair and tender neck, Anse's eyes were inevitably attracted by the undulating chest. At the neckline, further down, there is a white and attractive gully. Xiao Jie, aren't you quirkless? On the news, what is the water flow that you defeated the flamingo? The undulating voice, like the sweetness of fruit pie, is as lively and sweet as herself. Then, Xiao Jie, you can also apply for the Hero S department of Shangying. Undulating coil, like a lark, turned around excitedly, pressed his lips again, and murmured softly. At that time, I will be a 3rd grader, and Xiaoj, you will be a 1st grader, so I will be your senior sister. Eng quietly took the girl's figure into his eyes, no wonder the original owner of this body fell in love with this girl secretly. The first time he met Undulating Spiral was when his parents partnered with Dragon 9 to hold a Hero S event. Eng, who had no one to take care of her, was recommended by Long Ju to be taken care of by Bo Luowan, who came to her firm as an intern. From Long Ju's mouth, I learned that the original owner of this body had a dark personality. And a lively girl-like undulating spiral is the easiest to break through the darkness of the boy and reach his heart directly. The emotion of unrequited love was also born from that time. In short, Eng is not that shadowy teenager. It was normal to look at the undulating spiral, without any shyness or awkwardness. 10 minutes later, Long Ju came out of the kitchen and put bowls of hot fried dishes on the table. Long Ju also sat down on the chair, stared at Eng, and went straight to the topic. Xiao Jie, I want to ask about your ability shown in the news, and you really want to take the license exam in September. Hearing this, Eng smiled wryly, and had already guessed before coming. Sure enough, the reason why Long Ju, the cousin, suddenly contacted her. 014 Quirks. Communication, Anshei's request. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. It just so happens that I also have something to ask Aunt Long Ju. Eng coughed lightly and said, let's talk about my quirks first. On the way here, he thought of all the rhetoric. Oh, quirks. After hearing this, Long Ju and unwavering Hwan tilted their heads, showing puzzled expressions. In the first grade of elementary school and the first grade of junior high school, the diagnosis of quirks is made. No quirks were found on Anshei's body during the two diagnoses. Now suddenly you have quirks, which is hard to believe. Eng shook his head and said, it was only recently that I found out that I actually own quirks. Long Ju raised his hand and rolled up the hair around his ear. He knew Anshei's gloomy character. It is because of quirkless that I have always had low self-esteem in my heart. But now it seems that Eng has changed a lot. His conversation habits, temperament, and personality seem to have changed a lot. Confidence. This is the deepest impression Eng left on her, and the reason seems to really have something to do with owning quirks. Eng continued. It was a chance discovery that I can communicate with all things in the world and drive them according to my wishes. So I named it, communication. Communicate. Long Ju opened his eyes wide and covered his mouth with his hand. According to Anshei's description, the uses of his quirks seem to be very extensive. And in terms of combat, it definitely has a good use. The next moment, Eng demonstrated on the spot. He lightly pointed his fingers, and in an instant, liquid condensed on his fingers and formed water to surround them. The air contains moisture, which exists in gaseous form. When there are enough particles of gaseous water, it condenses into liquid water. Eng combined the magic he had temporarily mastered, and came up with a reasonable lie, which made sense for the magic. The water flow I used to defeat the flamingo uses this principle. Thunder suppresses raging waves, this thunder magic. It can also be explained by communication. By communicating with the cloud body and the cloud ground in the atmosphere, the positive and negative charges rub against each other to generate violent discharge. Not only that, but Eng will definitely exchange for dragon-slaying magic in the future. His parents are heroes who have the profession of dragon transformation quirks. The origin of quirks is still unknown, but after several generations, researchers have discovered that quirks is a genetic factor similar to genes. Quirks from parents are then passed on to their offspring. Of course, there will be variations, recessive and so on. Anyway, take Bakugo Katsuki's quirks as an example. His father, Quirks, was an acid sweat, producing fiery, explosive, acidic sweat from his palms. His mother Quirks is glycerin, moisturizing and beautifying. And Bakugo's Quirks is blasting, the sweat in the palm of the hand mutates, secreting sweat like nitroglycerin, which freely makes it explode. A perfect combination of the best of both his parents' quirks. So, as a descendant of the dragon-turning quirks couple, it wouldn't be surprising if Eng would display the abilities related to dragon turning. Since that's the case, I'll take Xiaoj to register for quirks at the Quirks Administration sometime. Long Ju smiled gratifiedly, clapped his hands together, and said softly, I'm going to start. Then he looked at Eng and Wave Hwan, and said, eat first, or the food will be cold. Eng lowered his head, the steaming hot dishes, the fog is about to disperse at this moment. It just so happens that he doesn't want to talk about his quirks anymore. Too many lies can easily expose its loopholes. So, the three of them started to eat, but the atmosphere was a little silent. There are no new topics, only the sound of chopsticks picking up vegetables and chewing. Dinner is very rich, with grilled fish, stew, fried chicken nuggets, tempura, beef pan yaki. The taste is also very delicious, and after a while, all the dinner plates are wiped out. Xiao Luowan, can you help me clean up the dishes? Long Ju blinked at undulating Luowan. Okay. Undulating Hwan was taken aback, then packed up the dishes and walked into the kitchen. He ignored Long Ju's hint and left the dinner table to the two of them. Aunt Long Ju, I want to take part in the recent Hero's license assessment, using the inheritance method. Eng speaks first, he has the right to speak, and he prefers to be active rather than passive. Xiao Jie, you shouldn't be so anxious, right? Long Ju sighed after hearing this, a little puzzled. When Eng defeated the flamingo, the talent he showed can be described as a genius. After graduating from junior high school and 3 years of high school career in the Hero's department, Eng can definitely become a good Hero's. Aunt Long Ju, you also know, right? My parents' firm is pending cancellation for 3 years, and it's already the 2nd year. Eng lowered his head slightly, not to let his flickering eyes be seen. When Hero's dies, naturally the firm closes. But the original owner of this body was obsessed with himself, and he didn't want to see the office opened by his parents close like this. In the state of pending cancellation, within 3 years, as long as there are heroes, you can inherit it and start it again. And most importantly, after Eng completes the side quest to defeat the flamingo. The system released the first main task. Main task trigger. Open your own hero's office, time limit, 1 month. Task reward. S-level lucky draw once. Close black lens bracket. Eng is bound to win the task reward of the S-level lottery. The time limit of 1 month means that he must participate in the license assessment in September. Please, Aunt Longju, please vouch for me. Even if you let me try, please. Suddenly, Eng stood up, and the chair made a clanging sound. Bow down. Xiao Jie, you. Longju also stood up, with his hands hanging in the air, a little at a loss, and finally sat down, nodding in agreement. Okay, I'll go find a colleague with a good relationship and vouch for you. But 015 accidents in everyday life. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. However, during this period of time, you'd better ask for leave from the school. I will ask a professional hero S to give you a surprise teaching for the items that may appear in the hero S license exam. Holding his forehead, Longju finished the second half of the sentence. She was also a little bit troubled, but she agreed to Eng. Whether it is finding someone to guarantee, or asking someone else to be Anzhe's teacher. These are very costly, not to mention that Eng is only a second-year student. Participating in the assessment to become a professional hero S in the eyes of others is quite ignorant, right? Thank you, Aunt Longju, I'm sorry to trouble you. Eng nodded his thanks, his gaze firm. He wants to complete this unprecedented feat, not only for himself, but also for Longju who loves him so much. Come on, Xiao Jie. In the kitchen in the distance, leaning against the door frame, undulating Whirlpool clenched his fist and cheered softly. Bin eavesdropping. Seeing two eyes staring at him, undulating Hawan was embarrassed to hide, and walked out of the kitchen. The dishes and chopsticks have been washed. Sister Luowan is as gentle as ever. Eng said seriously. As soon as these words came out, undulating Hirowan froze in place, and a blush seemed to surface quietly on his face. You actually learned to praise girls, Xiaoj has really grown up. Longju tilted his head, the corners of his lips turned up, obviously in a good mood. Also, Xiaoj used to never thank you, and I feel suddenly enlightened. It's enlightened, Eng admitted generously. As a result, Longju narrowed his eyes, and stared at him with an interrogating gaze. I heard that boys get enlightened because of a certain girl. Xiaoj, you should not date girls, right? Eng inexplicably felt oppressed by a strong aura, his back was icy cold, and quickly explained, not at all. But Longju obviously didn't believe this sentence. First of all, she knew that Eng had a crush on undulating Helix. Then, the time the two of them haven't met should be about the same as myself. Therefore, Anzhe's changes during this period of time make people have to doubt. So, Longju blamed his disappointing gaze and looked at undulating convoluted. Fertile water does not flow into outsiders' fields. Originally, Longju really wanted to match these two people, but now it seems that the stock market is unstable. Could it be Anzhe's childhood sweetheart? I'm going to the bathroom. Being swirled by the wave of staring, Xiao's face finally flushed obviously, and she left as if running away. How could she not understand what Longju meant? It was just about being in love, and she didn't have any ideas yet. And all along, in fact, she has treated Eng as her younger brother. But today's relationship, this view has been changed. Talking to Eng always feels like talking to a mature man who is older than me. That's why she felt shy and blushed. 9:30 in the evening. Talked with Longju about a lot of daily life and so on. Eng yawned, Aunt Longju, I have to go back, there will be no trams any later. Stay overnight, just tomorrow I will take you to the Quirks Authority to register for quirks. Also, Eng didn't refuse, Longzhou's house is huge and has a lot of spare rooms, so it's not inconvenient to stay for one night. Xiao Luowan, it's not safe for girls to walk at night. Don't go back tonight, stay here. Longju's eyes were bent into crescents, and he said to undulating Hawan at the entrance. Undulating Helix stopped her movements, she was just about to change her shoes and leave. In short, after Longju's plan was approved, both of them stayed temporarily. Eng went to take a shower, brushed his teeth, and then walked into a spare room arranged. Very traditional Japanese-style room, there is no bed, no computer, no TV, only tatami on the floor. Eng didn't recognize the bed, the floor was enough, turned off the lights, and got ready to sleep. It's a pity that no welfare plot happened. Of course, this is a pity, Eng will not admit it in his heart, after all, there are not too many accidents in daily life. After a while, Eng fell into dreamland. The next day, at 6:30 in the morning. The sound of the alarm broke the silence in the house. Eng stretched out a hand, turned off the alarm clock of the mobile phone, yawned and prepared for morning exercise. The plan for a day lies in the morning. In the early morning, the concentration of magic power is also the best. In this world full of quirks, strength is very important. In September, late autumn enters winter. The sky has not yet brightened, and there is only a piece of fish belly white that has just appeared on the horizon. The room was very quiet, apparently no one else had woken up yet. Eng pushed open the door, walked into the toilet and started to turn on the water. Only boys will understand that after getting up, it is difficult to release the water for a while, and you have to wait for a while. At this time, the door of the toilet was suddenly pushed open gently. Eng was startled. Oops, it can't be such a coincidence. My head was still a little fuzzy when I just woke up, and I was at my cousin's house again. Eng was so familiar with her that it was a bit casual to treat her as her own home. So just closed the toilet door and forgot to lock the door. Someone. However, Eng was in a state where the arrow was on the string and had to be shot, so he had to shout in relief. But it was too late, and a touch of blue curly hair slipped in. Undulating and coiling, eyes full of sleepy haze, and wearing a thin suspender pajamas. It seems that she also regards Long Ju's home as her own. Xiao Jie. Undulating Spiral raised his hand and rubbed his eyes. His expression looked extraordinarily cute, then his eyes slowly widened and fell down. Quote. The air was suddenly silent. An indescribable cold embarrassment began to spread. Eng almost had the thought of exploding on the spot, and because he was in the middle of the journey, he had no other choice but to let the younger brother continue. The undulating spiral was stunned for a few more seconds, and the hazy mist quickly dissipated in the azure blue eyes. She opened her mouth subconsciously, but raised her hand to cover it, and did not scream. However, the white jade-like face of the undulating spiral, with a large amount of rouge flying at a speed visible to the naked eye, his face is like lava in a volcano, and he can feel the astonishing hotness even through the air. Immediately afterwards, undulating spiral turned and ran away in a hurry. Apparently, the boa constrictor she saw just now had a huge visual impact on her. Why did this happen? Eng finally finished draining the water, looked up at the sky, and thought for a few seconds. It was so embarrassing that he didn't know how to face the undulating spiral at all. Also, he was going to slap himself in the face of his young thoughts before going to bed last night. There are so many surprises in life. 016 Undulating Spiral Response, Daguchang Seaside Park. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 91. 23. 30. Xiao Jie, good morning. When it was almost 8 o'clock, Long Ju had already prepared breakfast. And Long Ju, good morning. Eng also just finished his early morning magic training, but the effect was not very good. It was the accident in the morning that kept him restless. Little Luowan hasn't woken up yet. Xiao Jie, go and get her to have breakfast. Long Ju pursed his lips and said a few words to Eng. An's expression froze. Isn't it good? What's wrong? Long Ju frowned and forgot to say that I was creating opportunities for you. But the past was the past, and the present is the present. If Eng didn't mind calling Sister Luowan to get up before the toilet incident in the morning, but now there is only endless embarrassment. In the end, Eng had no choice but to call Sister Luowan to get up. Generally speaking, when such embarrassing things happen, there are nothing more than the following 2 reactions. The first is to pretend nothing happened. The 2 tacitly revealed it to each other. If you don't mention it and I don't tell it, the accident will pass. The second is to hide under the quilt and be shy without seeing people. Judging from the reaction of the undulating spiral that has not yet woken up, the second is very likely. While thinking wildly, Eng had already come to the door of the undulating spiral. He raised his hand to open the door, and shouted. Sister Luowan, Aunt Long Ju called you up for breakfast. Quote. There was no movement in the room. But Eng can be sure that the undulating spiral is definitely not sleeping. It's strange that he can still sleep soundly after such an embarrassing thing happened. After speaking, Eng was about to turn around and leave. He even planned to finish his breakfast quickly and go out first, so that he could miss the awkward meeting. As a result, just as he turned around, an erratic and pleasant voice came from the room. The door is unlocked, just come in. Eng panicked, took a deep breath, opened the door and walked in. The undulating room is the girl's bedroom, complete with dolls, desks, and TV. It seems that she often comes to Long Ju's house to stay temporarily, unlike An's first visit. At this moment, the blue-haired girl was sitting on the desk chair with her back to Eng. The bright sunlight slanted in from the window, and just fell on the girl's blue hair, with an indescribably harmonious and easygoing beauty. As if blending with the sky, the azure elf makes people want to shoot this scene. Cough, Sister Luowan, what's the matter? Eng coughed lightly, ready to respond with the first reaction, pretending nothing happened. What happened in the morning? Undulating Huan bit his pink lips slightly, but still didn't turn around. Xiao Jie, don't mention it to others. Yes, Eng breathed a sigh of relief. Then I'll go first. Sister Luowan, come and have breakfast quickly. It appears that the volatility spiral also chose the first response. After walking out the door, Eng subconsciously drifted into the room again. The blue-haired girl's slender neck was dyed a delicate crimson. It turned out that it wasn't just the first reaction. Sister Luowan was also very shy like the second reaction, but she neutralized the 2 reactions. Breakfast time. Dishes made by Long Ju, traditional Japanese breakfast, rice, miso soup and grilled fish. In fact, Japan prefers rice, which can be eaten 3 meals a day. Although Eng wanted to eat stuffed buns, deep-fried dough sticks, and noodle nests, he didn't object to rice. The atmosphere at the table was a little odd. Anyway, Eng made up his mind to eat with peace of mind and never speak. Long Ju blinked, looked at undulations, then at Eng, and asked curiously, is there something wrong with you two? No, times 2. With the same voice, probably out of surprise, Eng and undulating spiral looked at each other. The two lowered their heads again and continued to eat in silence. Seeing this, Long Ju sighed with a smile. Occasionally getting angry is also part of youth. After breakfast, Undulating Helix left first. Although today is the weekend, she is a second-year student during her internship at Hero S. And then Eng and Long Ju also went to the Quirks administration to change Anshei's quirkless record into communication. After registering quirks, Eng also took the tram back. Xiao Jie, the professional Hero S specially trained for you has been found. You can go directly to the location, Duoguchang Seaside Park. Just back from the Kansai area, Eng looked at the email on the phone. Duoguchang Seaside Park, what a coincidence. It is said to be a park but there are no tourists. Because of the many drifts brought by the ocean currents and a large amount of man-made illegal waste, it has become an unsightly garbage. In the plot, All Might guides Green Valley Izuku to exercise his physical fitness by cleaning up waste. It is worth mentioning that after the special training, the park has a new look and has become an excellent dating place. Who will be the professional Hero S who will come to the special training? It should not be All Might. It's not time for the story to start yet. Eng, who kept guessing, rushed directly to Duoguchang Seaside Park. Halfway through, I emailed Jiro Kyoka on my mobile phone, asking her to ask for 10 days off for me. The September Hero S license exam is at the end of the month, 10 days away from now. The sea breeze whizzed by, making the cool September even more chilly. There are piles of garbage dumps, and the smell of stench and decay makes people feel unhappy. Is anyone here? Eng yelled to the surroundings. Long Ju's email told him to go directly there, but when he came to the park, he didn't see any people. Suddenly, Eng had a dangerous warning in his heart, and his face changed. God is enough. A blue magic circle appeared under his feet, and Eng quickly jumped back to avoid it. The next moment, the knife light flashed, but it was empty. In the place where Eng was before, there was a shadow covered in black, holding a wooden knife. Not only that, Eng looked around, and there was more than one villains in front of him. From the shadow of the garbage dump, several black shadows came out again. 017 Terrifying thunder and raging waves, empty ghost souls. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 699. 175. 233. Villains. Who will it be at this juncture? Or. Looking at the many dark shadows that attacked him, it was obviously some kind of quirk's ability. However, there are many weapons in the opponent's hands, but all of them are wooden products that are not easy to kill. Its purpose doesn't seem to be villains to kill himself, not to mention that he didn't have any grudges, except for the flamingo he defeated the day before yesterday. If that is not the villains, what is the purpose of these ghosts? Eng suddenly remembered what Long Ju said to himself. Please ask a professional Hero S to come and teach as a surprise. If these sudden ghosts were really part of the teaching, that would be a surprise. In short, kill all these ghosts first, and then you will know what's going on. Anshei's eyes burst out with a cold light, and his temperament changed, and he entered a fighting state. Water flow restraint. Eng rushed towards the ghost directly opposite, the magic power in his body gathered in his hands, and flashed past the blue magic circle. In the next moment, a stream of magic water spewed out, and the ghost figure attacking forward turned into a water ball and surrounded it. Eng snatched the wooden knife from Ghosting's hand, turned around and held it high above his head. The ghosts from all directions did not rush to Eng in idleness. There was no panic on Anshei's face, the silver blade drew an arc, cutting through the air to form a horizontal line. In an instant, the head of a ghost turned into black particles and dissipated together with the body. 1. After the beheading was successful, Eng didn't bother to fight, and ran quickly to distance himself. One person faces a group of people. Absolutely not love to fight. To maximize the speed advantage of God's foot, wander around and kill one by one. The magic of Yandi's armor was drawn, but even Ursha's swordsmanship experience also brought a part to Eng. Swords are of the same origin. Another ray of white light passed through the air, cutting through the space with frightening sharpness, and dissipating a ghost. Almost. Eng looked around secretly. The black ghosts in the dark corners of the garbage dump had all appeared and chased him. Wandering all the way, let them all gather behind him. Wing. Seeing the timing, Eng attached magic power to the wooden sword, and quickly dotted a few spells in the air. Immediately, a magic circle was formed, and black light bloomed. A pair of dragon wings attached to Anshei's shoulder blades. Spread your wings. Eng flew into the air, condescending, looking down at the ghosts gathered below. Come and try the power of the magic of thunder and rage. Eng closed her eyes, the magic power in her body fluttered wildly. Not only that, but the surrounding air was also affected, faintly oppressed. The next moment, Eng opened his eyes, revealing golden pupils. A large number of lightning formed by magic power surrounds the arm. His hair was also affected by the static electricity, standing on end like a Super Saiyan transformation. The mark of thunder and lightning appears between the brows, exuding an incomparable haki. Thunder overwhelms the raging waves. Eng opened his arms to the sky, and the magic power gathered in his hands was facing the air. The pale white clouds above the head instantly turned black, and a huge golden magic circle opened. From time to time, there was the sound of thunder and lightning interlacing, the thunder continued, and the golden thunder and lightning rolled in it. Boom, boom. The majesty of heaven and earth is shocking, and no one can think of a way to stop it. If the clouds containing countless thunderbolts descended, the entire Duoguchang Seaside Park would be destroyed in an instant. Knowing this, Eng couldn't help hesitating. Wait, stop going on. Coincidentally, a terrified cry came from the ground below. Eng also took advantage of the opportunity to stop the thunder and raging waves, letting the released magic power dissipate between heaven and earth. From a specific test of power, it is certain that this posture will not be weak. Then, Eng flapped the wings on his back and landed on the ground. Many ghosts have disappeared, or were taken back into the body by one person. Wearing a brown coat to completely cover the body, the only exposed head is still a round, jet black head. It should also be one whose appearance is affected by quirks. Eng, right, I'm the professional hero who was entrusted by Long Ju to give you a surprise education. The man who spoke before introduced himself quickly, his tone visibly trembling. Let me introduce myself. My hero's name is Kongui Sol, a teacher at UA High School. Eng nodded, as he guessed, asked curiously, who are those ghosts just now? That's my quirks, double. The empty ghost soul is afraid for a while, and through the clone quirks, many ghosts with certain consciousness can be created. Quirks are useful in combat, scouting, and rescue. Just thinking about the attack that Eng was going to use just now, although Longju learned that Anshei's quirks can communicate with everything in the world. But summoning thunderclouds or something is too exaggerated. All his ghosts are conveying fear to the main body. There is no thought of resistance at all. As long as thunder and lightning fall from the clouds, all ghosts will definitely be killed in seconds. And once that happens, the consciousness of the empty ghost soul will also suffer a lot of backlash. That's why he appeared in a hurry, showing that there was no hostility, and made Eng stop. Kongui Sol couldn't help sighing. Are all the young people nowadays so powerful? When I first heard about Eng, a second-year student, I wanted to take the hero's license examination, and even felt that Longju's request was nonsensical. How is it possible to pass? However, because of a favor he owed, and the second and third graders he brought to hero's for internships, he accepted this special training for Eng. Now it seems, the empty ghost soul re-examined Eng, the strength of this young man may really surprise everyone's attention. Pass the test to become a professional hero's 018 special training for the empty ghost soul. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Duoguchang Seaside Park. I already have a general understanding of your strength. After Kongui Sol introduced himself, he didn't waste any time and started the special training for Eng directly. Speed, reaction, and judgment are all good. Kongui Sol took out a form, which recorded the data of Anshei's performance in the battle just now. The ghost of his quirks clone, raid and fight Eng, the purpose is to observe his physical fitness. By the way, the Japanese are incredibly paranoid about tables. It can be said that everyone will bring a calendar to record the daily itinerary and appointment. Even the marriage certificate is not a small book certificate, but two marriage certificates, with a form on it, which means the form. But Eng looked at the soul of the empty ghost, always feeling very strange and contrasting. Of course, it is not good to judge people by their appearance. Quirks makes many people look strange. A person who looks fierce does not mean he is a bad person, and vice versa. But on the internet, there is still a ranking of heroes that looks like villains, voted by netizens. Kongui Sol is one of them on the list. So after getting along, Eng was deeply impressed by the rigor, seriousness and gentleness of Kongui Sol. Kongui Sol looked at the form and pondered, and said, but your physical strength is not up to standard, of course it is very good at your age. Eng nodded to express his understanding, he was going to take the assessment to become a professional hero. The body is naturally also a professional hero, the strength it should achieve. Then what should I do? Eng asked. Kongui Sol pointed to the garbage mountain behind him, self-evident. Eng sighed, a little desperate. When the location was chosen in this park, he had expected this result. The same way All Might directed Midoriya Izuku. Use the piles of trash as a load and clean up the park along the way. In addition to physical strength training, it is for combat and rescue. Kongui Sol coughed lightly, and continued. The specific content of the annual assessment is only known to the organizer Hero's Public Security Committee, but the project is always changing. Combat and rescue, the test items will only be these two. It's easy to talk about rescue, but when it comes to combat. Kongui Sol hesitated slightly, looking at Eng, unable to speak. In today's society where heroes is saturated, the pressure of competition is also extremely high. The so-called law of the jungle. In the workplace, it is very common to compete for entrusted tasks, let alone exams. Kongui Sol took a deep breath, and said it anyway. There is an almost customary existence, that is, most candidates will join forces at the beginning to eliminate those who appear to be weaker targets. There are only a few places to pass the assessment, and if there is one less competitor, the chance of passing the test will be 1 point higher. When it came time for the assessment, Eng, who was only in the second year of junior high school, would not respect the old and love the young. He will definitely become the target of public criticism immediately and be besieged by almost all examiners. Thank you very much for your teaching. Eng bowed to thank him deeply, and the other party also considered this situation before besieging him with a large number of clone ghosts. It is to let him be familiar and prepared in advance, so that he can know how to deal with the situation of being besieged. So, the special training begins. Hey, is this going to work? Hurry up and continue climbing. How could a man say no? Eng gritted his teeth, the veins all over his body popping out. His back is made of iron waste, and there is a load of more than 100 caddies. Eng wakes up at 5 o'clock every morning and goes to Duoguchang Seaside Park to warm up by running for an hour. Then there is a morning of load bearing, carrying and cleaning garbage, in order to increase physical strength. Don't forget to separate the garbage. Watching Eng arrive at the end of a transport, Kongui Sol shouted a reminder from afar. Japan's garbage sorting is almost abnormally delicate. The major categories are combustibles, non-combustibles, resources, rough and hazardous, and there are many more subdivisions. A finished bottle of mineral water, even bottle caps and environmental stickers must be sorted separately. Moreover, the types of garbage thrown in are also different every day, and it is not possible to throw all of them into the garbage bin at once. In short, broken TVs, refrigerators, and broken trucks are divided into electrical appliances. Rubber sheets, plastics, and waste bottles are divided into piles. According to the words of Kongui Sol, this is training Eng to remain careful and calm under tremendous pressure. In the afternoon, Eng will have a lunch break to relax tense muscles. Then there is rescue training. For Hero S in today's society, rescue is more important than strength, and it has become the most important thing. Judging the state of the victim in an instant, responding to adverse environmental factors, and the most efficient rescue, these are things that a Hero S must be proficient in. Here Eng discovered the benefits of the empty ghost soul as a special trainer. His avatar can perfectly simulate a victim, allowing Eng to continuously accumulate rescue experience. The same goes for combat. And when night came, it was time to conduct combat training with the clone of Kongui's soul. Eng also didn't use magic, and simply trained his ability in melee combat. During the period, Jiro Kyoka, who was worried, also came to the park to visit. Regarding Anshei's leave of absence for training to take the Hero S license exam, she was also very opposed at first. But looking at Anshei's hard work and his persistent obsession. Despite all the worries, Jiro Kyoka had no choice but to silently cheer for Eng. That's all. 10 days passed in a flash. The Hero S license examination is about to begin. 019 Exchange Fire Dragon Slayer Magic. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 520. 130. 173. The night is dark and the stars are dotted. The sound of the tide beating against the coast is endless, and the smell of the humid sea makes people feel the pressure on their bodies is gone. Again, thank you very much for your guidance. Eng wiped the sweat from his forehead, bowed to the empty ghost soul in front of him, and expressed his gratitude from the bottom of his heart. The last day of special training is over. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, the Hero S license exam begins. Kongui Sol shook his head, feeling a little emotional. I don't have anything to teach you, let's try to become a Hero S next. Well, I will definitely. Eng clenched his fists, very confident. Seeing this, Kongwei's soul felt mixed feelings. On the one hand, it is Anshei's talent and leap forward in 10 days. There's nothing to teach, and that's not a polite phrase. In the special training in the evening just now, it was also the last time to compete with Eng. Not only Quirk's avatar, but Kongwei's soul himself also participated in besieging Eng with all his strength. And Eng seemed to be able to deal with all attacks with ease. Even if there were a few chances, Kongwei's soul vaguely felt that Eng still kept his hand. I don't know if this holding hand is the thunder cloud he used before, or some other ability. But in the end, the outcome of the sparring was a tie. As a professional Hero S and a teacher at UA High School, my actual combat ability definitely ranks first. In contrast, Eng is only a sophomore student. It is enough to show how terrible he is. However, on the other hand, Kongui Sol has a worry in his heart, the fishing boats from the outside world. Any professional Hero S is a public figure. Even the examiners who participated in the Hero S license examination are the same, and even more widely concerned by the society. Every year, the Hero S Public Security Committee will announce the list of all examiners. Naturally, Eng is also on this list. As a result, the name instantly caused an uproar, and it became the #1 hot search. In addition, Long Ju, who is the guarantor, is also waiting for the hot search. Unprecedented topicality. He is only in the second year of junior high school, but through a special mechanism, he can participate in the Hero S license examination. Everyone is arguing, approving or disapproving. And most of these fishing boats stood against it, and even waited to see Anshei's jokes. A young man who doesn't know the heights of the sky and the earth. Anshei's nickname on the internet. But is he really ignorant? Kongui Sol is very aware of Anshei's strength, and definitely has this level. But things are unpredictable, not to mention the difficulty of Anshei's unique mechanism. The empty ghost soul thought of the flamingo, the former Hero S, but was destroyed by the fishing boat and fell. If Eng doesn't pass the test, he couldn't imagine what kind of fishing boat pressure this young man would bear. Definitely endured more than the flamingos back then. Speaking of which, after I become a professional Hero S, can I still go to Heroes? Anshei's question interrupted Kongwei's wild thoughts. UA High School is a top school for Hero S, but what if the student is already a professional Hero S? It's definitely possible, although it's weird. But Eng, you are only in the second year of junior high school. Compulsory education is mandatory, and you must also go to high school. Kongwei Sol pondered for a while, and gave a reply. That's good. The world plots of my hero world can be said to revolve around heroes. In order to get the mission issued by the system, Eng has to join Xiangying no matter what. It's getting late, I'll go back to rest first, and you too, Kongwei Soul teacher. Eng glanced at the time, said goodbye to Kongwei Soul, and was about to leave. Kongwei Soul nodded in acquiescence, looking at Anzhe's leaving back, a little bit embarrassed. The future of this young man is exciting. Back home, Eng took a shower to wash off the sweat and lay down on the bed. Enter the system space. In an instant, everything freezes. On Anzhe's retina, a screen appeared. The achievement point in the lower right corner has 3,000 points. 3,000 achievement points can be exchanged for a dragon-slaying magic. Eng murmured in a low voice, his thoughts drifting away. In the era of information explosion, Eng is not the type of ascetic. In my spare time, I would also take a break to swipe my phone, so how could I not know that the matter of my own participation in the assessment has become a very hot topic? Seeing some malicious comments, Eng inevitably burned with anger. Let these guys get to know each other well. Regarding the choice of Dragon Slayer magic, Eng still decided to exchange for Natsu's Fire Dragon Slayer magic first. In Fairy Tail, the Dragon Slayers are divided into 4 generations. Although there is no detailed explanation, the dragon slaying magic taught by the first generation of Dragon Slayers, Natsu, Gajeel, and Wendy through real dragons, seems to be more powerful than the other 3 generations. However, there may be problems with not being able to take transportation. In short, Eng, who has made up his mind, chooses to exchange. System: exchange for Fire Dragon Slayer magic. Consume 3,000 famous points, confirm. Confirm. As Eng made a final decision, a source of magic power suddenly appeared in his mind. Immediately, a strong blazing heat surged through his body, and this strong impact made Eng unable to think. Heat. Like magma surging and rolling in the body. Pain. As if the meridians all over my body were shattered. Itching. It seems that there is an energy transforming the body. After a while, Anzhe's body was drenched with sweat. He opened his eyes sharply, as if his pupils were burning with hot flames. He opened his mouth slightly, and a small group of flames emerged from it. It was the characteristic magic of fire dragons, dragon's breath. At the same time, Eng quietly felt the changes in his body. His physique has been greatly enhanced, his vision has become extremely broad, and his sense of smell is also extremely sensitive. The dragon-slaying magic of fire gave him the physique of a dragon, dragon scales, dragon claws, dragon teeth, etc. The most important thing is that it aroused the quirks factor in Anzhe's body, the dragon-forming ability inherited from his parents. Perfect fit. Even without any experience, Eng feels that her strength has increased dramatically. 020 Ashido Mina, the shark monster. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. 8 in the morning. Clear skies, blue skies. Eng went out at a leisurely pace, bringing his ID with him. The exam will be held at the Dagujang Arena, very close to his residence. The method of walking takes only 10 minutes. So Eng didn't get up too early even though the exam was at 9 o'clock. It was late autumn and October, when the dew chrysanthemums first bloomed in Shangyuan, and the trees beside the slope were a little deserted. Taking out his phone, Eng sent Jiro Kyoka an email that he was gone. Raising his head, Eng suddenly saw the street under the ramp, and a familiar girl came into view from the back. The openness of the line of sight allows everyone to see clearly. Pink-haired girl with tentacles on her head, could it be Ashido Mina? Eng quickened his pace and walked to the bottom of the ramp. Along with the pink-haired girl were 2 other girls, wearing school uniforms and carrying school bags. Today is a working day. It is also normal for students to go to school. It just so happens that there are traffic lights on the zebra crossing ahead, and the red light is on. Waiting for the opportunity, the pink-haired girl turned sideways, very active, talking enthusiastically to the girl next to her. Eng also got to see the front of the girl, with 2 small yellow tentacles on her head, shaking accordingly. She has short pink hair, a strange pink skin, and the irises of her eyes are actually pitch black. She bent down with her hands on her hips, perfectly outlining her curvy figure. Is it growing well? Eng was able to determine the identity of the pink-haired girl. Her appearance is exactly Ashido Mina, who will be admitted to Shangying in the future. I didn't expect to meet her here. Eng didn't choose to go up to say hello and talk. One is that the stranger is not good for no reason, and the other is that she still has to take the exam. Suddenly, the clear sky darkened, not because of the dark clouds floating in the sky. Eng raised his gaze, and from the side of Ashido Mina came an unusually tall figure. The entire huge figure is wrapped in robes, with no shoes and bare feet. It seems that it is more than 3 meters tall, and the flat houses next to it are a bit short in comparison. He opened his mouth lightly, revealing a mouthful of terrifying shark-like teeth, and his ferocious face was completely inhuman. The most frightening thing is that his eyes have no pupils, they are all white, as if they are just white eyeballs. What a monster, a shark monster. And there is a radio hanging around his neck, which is broadcasting a piece of news. This channel received a letter from a listener, Alumai Yito. When this listener went to work a few days ago, he saw All Might. Tell me, where is the Jumping Hero's office? The shark monster gasped heavily, with extremely suppressed anger in his tone, and asked the 3 girls including Ashido Mina. At the same time, there was a wave of terror emanating from his body, even Eng in the distance could feel the clear pressure. No one answered. Crazy trembling. The 2 girls beside Ashido Mina were oppressed by the aura emanating from the monster and knelt down. Ashido Mina was slightly better, but the cold sweat sliding down her cheeks and her trembling body showed the fear in her heart at the moment. Aren't you going to tell me? The shark monster stretched out its hand, and its thick and long arms corresponding to its height grabbed the street lamp next to it. Boom. The next moment, the shark monster pulled hard, and the street lamp was pulled out without any resistance. There were only ordinary people around the road, and they fled in fear after seeing this scene, fearing that the shark monster would harm the fish in the pond. Can't do it here. Eng quickly judged the current situation, he was not afraid of this shark monster. But once the battle started, the three girls next to him would inevitably be affected. Drive him away first. Eng stepped forward, rushed to Ashido Mina and other three girls, spread his arms to protect them and shouted. On the road that turns at the corner ahead, there is an office about 2 kilometers away. The magic power in the body is running, ready to go. In the worst case, if the shark monster in front of you still does not leave after getting the answer, then at least buy time for them to escape. The shark monster froze and dropped the street lamp on the ground. Seemingly disdainful of what to do to a group of little kids, he left in the direction Eng pointed at with steps that shook the ground. It's really not peaceful early in the morning. Eng heaved a sigh of relief. Normally, he would have shot directly in this situation. But he still has to take the test. There is no Hero's license to use quirks. So Eng called the police, gave a brief overview of what was going on here, and left it to the police and professional Hero's to deal with this shark monster. Woo, terrible. Thank you very much, we would absolutely be killed without you. Eng turned around when he heard the words, and the two girls next to Ashido Mina expressed their gratitude to him, and collapsed on the ground without any hesitation. Are you okay? Eng stretched out his hand, facing Ashido Mina who was still standing in the middle. Without, Ashido Mina bit her lip tremblingly, just about to help Ansei's hand to stand still. But for a while, I couldn't control my balance, and I felt dizzy after being frightened. Then, plop, a girl with pink hair came into her arms. The softness of the body contact and the fullness of a certain part made Ansei's heartbeat stop. Be careful, don't fall down again. Ansei's voice was low, suppressing his impulse. Not taking any advantage, Eng let go of the girl after holding the girl in his arms steady. He still has some self-control. Hurry up and get out of here. Eng looked in the direction where the shark monster left, and the figure disappeared completely. Then, ignoring other things, he headed towards the Dogu arena. Hurry up. Although I don't know the purpose of the shark monster, but he is wearing a long robe, and he wants to find the Hero's office, which is extremely unkind. The location Eng mentioned was actually in Duoguchang Seaside Park. Lead the shark monster to a place away from the crowd, and let the police and professional Hero's who received the alarm rush to solve it. If there is no accident, there should be nothing wrong. Etc. Only then did Ashido Mina realize that he wanted to say something to Eng, at least ask for his name. But Eng has already gone away, leaving only a back, explaining what it means to do good deeds without leaving a name. For a moment, the girl's eyes became a little crazy. She touched her face in surprise, it was hot and extremely shy. Fortunately, her pink skin perfectly concealed her emotions at the moment. At least, the two friends around her didn't notice anything unusual about Ashido Mina. 021 Duogu Field Arena, good eyes. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 720. 180. 240. Dolgood Arena. White tile walls and black doors and windows make the venue look quiet and elegant. The appearance of the cone is connected to the cuboid area at one end, all of which make people feel that the place is extremely spacious. There are still 10 minutes to 9 o'clock. Under the surprised eyes of the security guards, Eng walked into it through his ID. Following the arrows on the wall stickers, Eng came to a room in the venue. Looking from a distance, there are at least 1,000 people crowded in this not too big room. In order not to attract attention, Eng stepped into it and stood in the corner. But even so, taking the Hero's license exam at the age of only the second year of junior high has aroused unprecedented controversy and heat. As that person Eng. When an examiner found Eng, all the examiners in the room immediately looked back at Eng. Is he the offspring of the Dragon Hero's couple? His parents are very strong, but that doesn't mean he can easily become a Hero's. HMPH, I don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth, but I really dare to participate. There was a lot of discussion, almost all the examiners were discussing about Eng. This is the assessment site for becoming a professional Hero's, and everyone has put in countless efforts and sweat to become a professional Hero's. It is precisely because of this that they disdain Eng so much, thinking that he is underestimating the so-called Hero's. After all, if Eng really passed the examination and became a professional Hero's at the age of only the second year of junior high school, doesn't that mean that all the hard work they have put in these years is worthless? Facing everyone's eyes, Eng was not inferior at all. There is quite a feeling of cross-brow coldly pointing fingers. Scanning the examiners in the room. The one with trees all over his body should be Jungle Kamui, the one next to him wearing a blindfold mask is MT. Lady, and the muscular man with muscular body is the bare fist of death. Eng muttered to himself, and found several unexpected people with familiar faces. Think back to the timeline. Now he and Green Valley Izuku are both junior high school students, and my English plot started when I was in the 3rd junior high school in Green Valley. When Green Valley went to school, he happened to meet Milan Shinwei, MT. Lady, and Death Chicken, and the 3 solved the villains. Let's not talk about the latter, after MT. Lady grabbed the head and defeated villains, she said. The little girl made her debut today. This means that at that time, MT. Lady had just debuted. So now, MT. Lady and the three of them have a high probability of passing the Hero S license examination in September and becoming professional Hero S. If there is a chance, recruit the three of them to my firm. An's eyes flickered, and the corners of his mouth curled up involuntarily. What he didn't know was that his expression made the examiners who observed him think it was an expression of disdain for them. Although Eng really thought so in his heart. In short, some examiners gritted their teeth and were furious, planning to make Eng look good later. At this moment, on the front podium, a man who looked like he was still asleep came up. Ahem. Immediately, the eyes of all the examiners turned away from Eng. After seeing this scene, the man who was still asleep said, "Well, we are going to take the Hero S license test next. Let me introduce myself. I am the target of the Hero S Public Security Committee. I like to sleep." All the examiners looked at Mu Lengshan's drowsy look, and they all yelled and complained in their hearts. Is this examiner reliable? Mu Liang did not hide his exhaustion, and explained, "There is no way, I am too busy with work to sleep well. After all, because of some unexpected circumstances, I was notified to work extra overtime." Speaking of this, Eng felt a look of resentment, which was the kindness of the examiner. Eng also turned his head guiltily and whistled. The so-called accident should be that I came to participate in the assessment, so I hurriedly asked the employees of the Hero S Public Security Committee to work overtime to discuss about my own unique mechanism assessment. Anyway, please allow me to explain the assessment rules to everyone in this state. The good-natured eyes yawned deeply again, which made Eng feel in his heart that the examiner must have a lot in common with Aizawa Shota of Shangying. How many people are there? More than 2,000. Anyway, the elimination exercise is going to be carried out, and the final number of people who pass is 800. Quiet. Hearing Mu Liang's words, there were so many people in the room, there was a dead silence. Then, wait a minute. The elimination exercise should be the first round of the assessment, right? Yeah, it's too harsh to eliminate half of the places in the first round. In an instant, all the examiners erupted in fierce denunciation. As they thought, this examiner named Mu Liang is not reliable at all. Because of the previous Hero S license examination, the pass rate was about 50% by the end of the final round. So this time, in the first round of the assessment, there was an elimination rate of more than 50%. Undoubtedly, it is more difficult than the previous assessments, and the competition is especially fierce. Mu Liang sighed and said, "Modern society is known as a society saturated with Hero S. This has led many people to feel that the difficulty of professional Hero S is too simple and requires stricter selection. After all, the restrictions on participating in the Hero S license assessment are almost equivalent to none. Needless to say, the age must reach the legal age of majority. There are so many colleges and universities across the country, and almost every college has a Hero S department, and generally, students in the Hero S department will experience Hero S internship activities at the beginning of their freshman year. Therefore, the two restrictions of graduated from the Hero S department of high school and Hero S activity internship experience with more than 2 years of experience are completely false. As long as you have read the Hero S subject, you are eligible to become a Hero S. It is impossible to change the threshold, otherwise there would be no need for others to study Hero S. Therefore, the Hero S Public Security Committee discussed and decided to increase the difficulty of the Hero S license examination, so as to reduce the number of new Hero S every year. In addition, there is something special about this assessment. Mu Liang coughed lightly, and broke out a big news, that is this assessment, which will be broadcast live to audiences across the country. 022 Live Broadcast, the first round of assessment begins. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Live broadcast. Does that mean that our every move is seen by the public? Look, there is the camera, and here. The kind-hearted words once again ignited the discussion among all the examiners. Some cameras installed in the room were also found and pointed out by some caring people. Some of the assessors had a bad complexion, and most of them were people who knew that they were not strong enough. They were worried that if they failed or made a fool of themselves, they would be seen by audiences across the country. Public execution. However, some examiners were ecstatic and eager to try, wishing that the assessment could start soon. These people are basically strong people who have confidence in their own strength. There is no other reason. In a society saturated with Hero S, it is too difficult to become famous. The competition is too fierce. Villains do not appear every day, and disasters are even rarer. As a result, most professional Hero S who have just debuted can only do Hero S commissions that patrol the area. Occupation Hero S does not have a fixed salary, and the source of money is entirely entrusted by Hero S. This is also in the society. More and more Hero S will have a side job. For example, the Python Hero S with its beautiful appearance will accept model advertisements. Only your strength is outstanding, you can easily defeat the villains, or the disaster event is resolved quickly. Only you can become famous and widely known by the public, and some people will take the initiative to issue Hero S commissions to you. Otherwise, those with average strength can only slowly gain popularity. But with so many Hero S, God knows how long it will take to become famous. This is the same for Hero S office. In fact, many examiners in the room will be hostile to Eng, so why is there no element of jealousy in it? Even if they pass the license examination and become a professional hero, they are still unknown. In contrast, Eng is already famous. All in all, the live broadcast format is an excellent opportunity to rapidly increase popularity. Live broadcast. Interesting, it seems that the license examination will become my battle for fame in one fell swoop. Eng rested his chin in one hand and thought, his eyes shone with excitement. He turned his head and looked at the top of the corner, where there happened to be a camera. However, that camera was still aimed at Eng, so it should have shown his appearance to the national audience, right? So, Eng stretched out his hand. Pointing at the camera, he made a V-shaped victory gesture. Confidence and publicity, no doubt. At the same time, an office of Longju office. Anshei's cousin, Longju, was staring intently at the live broadcast on the computer screen. Suddenly, when the camera turned, it was Anshei's victory gesture. Your nephew is not bad. I really like the self-confidence of this young man. On Longju's left, sat a huge, fat man, whistling and teasing. He is one of the people drawn by Dragon 9 to guarantee Eng, Hero's name as Fat Rubber, Quirks as Fat. I hope he really has your guarantee and can pass the assessment to become a professional hero. On the right of Longju, there is also a man wearing glasses, who looks very serious. But at the moment, he is playing with a All Might figure, and his eyes under the glasses are full of enthusiasm. He was also one of the guarantors brought in, and was All Might's former assistant. His hero's name is Night Eye, and Quirks as Vision. By the way, he is a serious European chef. Longju got a limited anniversary figure of All Might through his relationship, and bought him easily. Longju shook his head helplessly and smiled bitterly, and couldn't help but sigh Anshei's big heart. Same moment, Jiro Kyoka, who attends school, executes the undulating spiral of Hero's activities. Come on, you must pass the test, Eng. Although the two couldn't watch the live broadcast at the moment, they both held hands tightly and worried in their hearts. In their own way, silently cheer for Eng. Be quiet. Mu Lengshan made a hissing gesture, and after watching all the examiners stop discussing, he said, you should all remember your own examination numbers, right? If you don't remember, quickly take out your examination numbers and look at the following 4 digits. Hearing this, Eng took out the test admission ticket from his pocket and looked at the test number on it. The first few digits are all the same, and the next 4 digits are 2018. Mu Liang continued to explain the rules. The rules of the first round of elimination exercises are very simple. In the examination venue, all candidates compete with each other. When there are 800 people left, we will broadcast to announce the end of the first round. I can give you some news in advance for the second round. It will be a team competition. The members of your team are arranged according to the last 4 digits of their test numbers. After finishing speaking, Mu Liang gave Eng a meaningful look. This teenager, who is in the second year of junior high school, participated in the Hero's license examination through a unique mechanism. This is indeed what their Hero's public safety committee, and a group of people who made the law, did not expect. The first live broadcast of the assessment was actually because of Eng. In the fishing boats of the outside world, it is inevitable that there will be some conspiracy theories and a lot of followers. In order to clarify the fairness and impartiality of the assessment, live broadcasting will be the best and most direct and trouble-free method. As for the assessment of the unique mechanism, it was finally decided to let a top 10 person on the Hero's list be the examiner. Of course, all that will have to wait until Eng has passed all the normal examinations for the Hero's license. Then it's officially started, open it. Hearing Mu Liang's words, all the examiners were still wondering where they were going to take the exam. Suddenly, Mu Liang snapped his fingers. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the room under everyone's feet was like a square cardboard box, the walls on all 4 sides were separated and laid on the ground. What unfolded in everyone's sight was a sight that had been enlarged by an unknown number of times. And there are many different regional venues such as mountains, high-rise buildings, and fields. In the sky, there are also a large number of drones emerging. The drone camera was aimed at the bottom, and all the examiners were clearly shown to audiences across the country through live broadcast. 3, 2, 1, the exam begins. The voice just fell. Some candidates, according to their quirks, go to areas that are beneficial to them. Strive to be able to reach the top 800 people. Since there are people who intend to do it, there are naturally people who intend to do it, and want to eliminate other candidates around them, that is, competitors. Suddenly, the candidates in front of Eng stared at him with countless sinister and vicious eyes. The next moment, countless attacks with quirks, dazzling and spectacular. They are all attacking Eng. 023 The roar of the fire dragon eliminates thousands of people. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. It's really like Kongui Soul teacher said, the examinee has become the target of public criticism from the very beginning. Seeing the overwhelming attacks in front of him, Eng raised the corners of his mouth and smiled lightly. Indescribable calmness and confidence. The siege response in the previous special training allowed Eng to develop a good agility. Use your divine feet to speed up your pace, and distance yourself from those who run away. Or use the magic of wings to fly high into the sky and be in the highest security area. But that was all in the past. Eng, who exchanged the Fire Dragon Slayer magic last night, decided to collide head-on at this moment. Show all the horrors of your own magic. See and feel the power of my flame. Anzhe's eyes were full of disdain for the group of people in front of him, and he opened his mouth slightly, and traces of flames shot out from the gaps between his teeth, with a pungent sulfur smell. At this time, Anzhe's whole body was filled with mist, which was extremely hot. The magic power in the body was running wildly, at least half of it was used in one breath. This made the color of Anzhe's skin gradually turn red, and dense dark red scales appeared indirectly from the skin. The roar of the fire dragon. Eng clenched his fists tightly and put them in front of his mouth. Suddenly, a dark red magic circle appeared. The violent flames set off a sea of flames in an instant, as if to completely swallow everything around. The tsunami-like high temperature spread, squeezing and sweeping in all directions. It was originally a solid land, but it was shattered by the flooding frantic flames in an instant, the trees were melted, and everything was swallowed. All the examiners, the Hero's Public Security Committee personnel, and the national audience who watched the live broadcast all showed expressions of horror, disbelief, and fear on their faces. They found that in the world at this moment, there can only be one color. The burning flames took away all the colors in the world. As for those overwhelming attacks, they were melted as soon as they came into contact with the flames. Those who witnessed this scene from the monitoring room were kind-hearted and could not close their mouths in a daze, as did the staff behind them. Their whole bodies were stiff and their eyes were full of shock. This is really the power that a second-year student can cause. The muscles on Muliang's face twitched uncontrollably, and his brain felt dizzy even through the screen. No one answered him. In other words, no one at all expected such a scene to happen, and it is difficult to describe their feelings at this moment with shock. And all the viewers across the country who watched the live broadcast seemed to be exploded. Unbelievable. What happened? Is this too exaggerated? What's on his skin? Dragon scales. The flames of Hero's endeavor can't compare to him. Sweat is dripping from my forehead, as if I smell the breath of hell. Who said that this person named Eng knows nothing about the sky and the earth? I'm going to give that person a few big slaps. It's no wonder the national audience watching the live broadcast, the reels and attitudes, reversed. Extremely exaggerated flames. Eye-catching contrast. The strength to crush the audience. Eng used the simplest and rudest way to convince all the audience. Respecting the strong is a principle that will be followed no matter which region or country you are in. After this moment, absolutely no one would dare to underestimate Eng. No one would think of him as a young man of the second year of junior high school who didn't know the heights of the sky and the earth. At the same time, the office of Longju office. Excited, Longju stood up and slammed the table. Night Eyes, who was next to him, was so scared that he couldn't hold it steady in his hand, and dropped the All Might Anniversary Limited figure to the ground. It turned out to be a dragon scale. Xiao Jie did say that he can communicate with quirks, and can even communicate with the genes of quirks in his body. Is it possible? Longju had thousands of guesses in his mind, and his beautiful eyes flickered. He didn't know what he was thinking. Go back to the test location in the arena of Dorgu Fields. The high temperature of the flames annihilated everything in front of it. The same is true for those drone cameras, directly destroyed by the high temperature melting. But fortunately, in a very distant area, some drone cameras survived, and they immediately pointed the lens at the area where Eng was. The air flowing around is surrounded by high-temperature smoke, until the fog dissipates. What appeared in everyone's sight was Eng, who stood proudly, and countless candidates who were knocked into a coma by the high temperature and lost consciousness and were eliminated. Eng also had spare hands, and didn't make a full shot. Otherwise, under the high temperature under full force, these people would not be as simple as comatose, it would be. In short, if Eng loses his qualifications and even faces criminal law if he misses the exam and kills someone. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? Eng looked into the distance and made a sound like a dragon roaring. There was no sound. The rest of the examinees felt terrified, and even opened a little distance, as if they were safe from being affected. Especially Anzhe's aura at the moment, he was not human at all, as if a dragon appeared behind him. Dragon. A terrifying dragon soaked in lava. I'm not hallucinating, am I? In the distance, Mt. Lady rubbed her eyes, and tall buildings appeared in his sight as he looked at Eng. Probably not, or a mirage. The dense forest Shenwei beside her swallowed her saliva in horror, feeling extremely grateful in her heart. Because his quirks are trees, at the beginning of the exam, he also invited Mt. Lady and Death Chicken to go to the distant forest area together. Luckily escaped the roar of Anzhe's fire dragon. The scorching hot breath scorched the air, causing the light to refract, forming an optical phenomenon. The so-called mirage. In the monitoring room, Mu Liang and his examiners recovered from the shock, or had to recover. Because of demographics, Mu Liang stammered. The first round, elimination and elimination exercises, the final, end. The end of the first round meant that there were only 800 exam candidates left in the exam hall. This means that Eng alone eliminated thousands of examiners with the roar of the fire dragon. It's not surprising to say that, after all, when the exam started, all the candidates hadn't been dispersed yet. Most of them participated in the attack on Eng, so they also fell under the hot flames and became one of the eliminated members. What is really surprising is Anzhe's terrifying strength. After hearing the announcement on the radio, Eng had a smile on his face. Incomparably sharp and incomparable. 0-2 for the second round of the team competition, Anzhe's teammates. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 217. 54. 72. Is there something wrong with my hearing? After hearing Muliang's voice on the radio, Mt. Lady had a look of disbelief, and slapped her friend's death fist hard. No, I heard that too. And don't shoot, it hurts. Death's red fist shrank his body in pain, and the muscles all over his body looked a little funny. I really hope you don't run into him in the second round. Milan Shenwei took a deep breath and looked at Eng apprehensively. Yes, Mount. Lady clicked her lips, feeling deeply. If she remembers correctly, from the first round to the present, it seems that the time is less than 5 minutes, right? It can be said that it was Anshei's own efforts to end the first round of assessment. That's terrible. Hey, she didn't dare to imagine the scene of Eng's villains. But as a teammate, it's really reliable. Thinking of this situation, Mt. Lady unconsciously smiled. This made her two friends helplessly cover their foreheads, and pushed her to the location of the next exam. Candidates who have passed the first round of assessment in the venue are invited to go to the ante-room, the reception room in the high-rise area of the city. Muliang announced from the radio in a tired voice. At the same time, a large number of medical personnel filed out to move the eliminated candidates to the infirmary for treatment. As for how to see which candidates are eliminated, those on the ground who were unconscious by the flames can just be carried to the infirmary, and it will be difficult for them to wake up in a while. Ante-room. Following the voice, Eng walked into the reception room, still standing quietly in the corner. As the candidates walked in one after another, this time none of them dared to look at Eng like they did at the beginning. All looked alert, staying away from the corner where Eng was, as if they were facing an enemy. All of a sudden, there was a very funny scene. Eng seemed to be isolated, separated from the crowd of candidates. Hello everyone, we meet again, congratulations on passing the first round of elimination exercise. At this time, there was still a podium in the reception room, and Mu Liang Shanjian appeared there. Presumably you also understand that in a modern society saturated with heroes, most heroes cannot survive. Speaking of this, Muliang looked at Eng in the corner speechlessly, and continued with a wry smile. So the purpose of the first round is to familiarize you with the brutal competition in society, so that you can stand out from it and adapt to survival. The voice just fell. All the candidates except Eng all cast contemptuous glances. This made Muliang's back hunched a bit. He knew the meaning of these gazes, but all the heroes public security committee members including him did not expect this to happen. According to the original idea, the area simulated by so many scenarios can take advantage of the various quirks among candidates. For example, Jungle Kamui, he will choose the forest area and increase his own tree quirks. There is also a woman with Tyrannosaurus ears. She will definitely choose the ocean area, which is more conducive to her own performance. Under these circumstances, candidates who pass the assessment must be people who know how to maximize their quirks' advantages. However, all these ideas were destroyed by the roar of Anshei's fire dragon. The time taken for the end of the first round of assessment, accurately timed, was 3 minutes and 28 seconds. The fastest completion time of the first round of assessment in history. In short, even if he was looked at with contempt, Mu Liang had to read the manuscript, the speech he had written long ago. Look at the screen now and find the test numbers corresponding to yours. Muliang coughed lightly, and there was a large screen behind him, showing a picture. The 800 candidates who passed the first round of assessment, their corresponding test numbers and names. Eng looked up. The fire dragon slaying magic made his vision excellent. You don't have to crowd close to the podium to stare at the screen to find your test number like the candidates in front of you. Soon, Eng scanned his own examination number, and it was obvious that they were in a group of 5. The 3 above him are Mt. Lady, Death Chicken, and Jungle Kamui, and the one below him is Sirius. The reason for the group of 5 is that the names of the 5 of them are connected together. There are 2 blank areas at the top of Jungle Kamui or the bottom of Sirius, separating the names of other candidates from their test numbers. Mu Liang continued. The second round of assessment is a team competition, and the number of a team is 5. The team members are divided according to the last 4 of your test numbers, from small to large, and then 12,345 as a cycle. Eng nodded, and Muliang made it very clear. 800 people, in groups of 5, were divided into 160 groups. The 2 blank areas are separated, so that all candidates in the reception room can easily see who their teammates are. There are 2 events in the team competition, 1-on-1 individual battle and 5-on-5 team battle. The specific rules will be explained in a paper by the staff later, so I won't go into details here. After finishing speaking, Muliang was about to prepare stepping down, suddenly remembered something, and added. I almost forgot, you have an hour from now. Find teammates, discuss tactics, eat and rest, whatever you want. After Muliang added, he stepped off the stage and left. Immediately, the entire reception room fell into a chaotic scene, and they all went to look for their teammates immediately. And Anshei's teammates, Mt. Lady and the 3 of them, walked directly towards him. These 3 were friends who participated in the assessment together, and Anshei's position was so prominent that the 4 members of the group soon reconciled. Similarly, a woman stepped out of the crowd and also walked in the direction of Eng. The 5th person is a woman named Sirius. It is worth mentioning that her ears should also be influenced by quirks, with a pair of Gyarados ears. 025 Self-introduction of the 5, Sirius. Ask for flowers, ask for comments, ask for rewards. Interesting for you. 6 women who are known for their large body parts. More. 780. 195. 260. Then let me introduce myself first. Eng looked at the four people walking toward him, and smiled. Eng, a second-year junior high student, 15 years old, quirks is communication, and the ability is to communicate with everything in the world. The next step is the team competition. Each team member must understand each other's quirks in order to better arrange tactics and cooperate. Temporary cooperation. In many cases, Hero S entrusts multiple firms to complete the commission. Or in some emergencies, the nearby professional Hero S will come. Whether it is a battle or a rescue incident, trying to solve everything alone is arrogance. With the cooperation of multiple occupational Hero S, you can clearly understand what your quirks can do, and cooperate with others to complete events more efficiently. This should be the Hero S Public Security Committee's idea for designing the second round of the team competition. However, despite the brutal competition in the first round, they had to shake hands in the second round. Eng always feels that the person who designed the content of the assessment has a bad taste. Communication. Isn't your quirks related to dragon transformation? Mount. Lady walked up to Eng with a surprised look on her face, and introduced herself. My Hero S name is MT. Lady, and quirks are gigantic. It's several times bigger in every way. Eng didn't answer first, but tilted his head and said, the way too. This is taboo. In an instant, MT. Lady puffed out her cheeks, like a cat with fried hair. Super fierce. But yes, MT. Lady showed off her figure in an ultra-sexy navy and skin-toned battle suit. Although the horn-like dark blue mask only covers the eyes, it only adds a bit of psychedelic and alluring meaning. Eng apologized decisively. I was wrong. That's right, that's a big taboo for women, don't make such low-level mistakes again. Mount. Lady smiled and waved her hand nonchalantly, and the frown between her brows relaxed a lot. A little joking interlude has a huge effect on improving the atmosphere. Eng is not the actual age of this body, but his heart is already very mature. Watch what you say and what you say. When the four of them walked towards themselves, they all frowned slightly, obviously a little afraid of themselves. This is a situation that Eng doesn't want to see. They have become teammates and they are afraid of themselves. How can they cooperate with each other in the team competition? So I made a little joke to dispel the fear. You all know the quirk's genetic factor, right? It can be understood as I communicate with it and awaken some dragon-related abilities. Eng stretched out his hands, just like the scene shown to Undulating Spiral in Dragon 9 last time. Flick your fingers and work magic. There is a stream of water in the left hand that surrounds the fingers, and the crackling of the right hand is accompanied by sporadic electric light. Wow, Mount. Lady and Sirius next to him, the two women exclaimed, only thinking that Anshei's quirks is so strong. Not to mention anything else, just this magic scene is handsome enough. My Hero S name is Death Fist, and quirks is strange power, which simply gives me great power. Death Fist walked over, flexing his arms to show his muscles, and the third one introduced himself. He is decorated with black and yellow warning tapes all over his body, and his wrists, forehead, and belt are everywhere. The strong muscles of the whole body give people the impression of being quite reliable, but the quirks of the power system such as Wily are a bit ordinary. It is also because of this that after the plot, the Red Fist of Death is not ranked high on the list. In contrast, his two friends, Mount, Lady, behind the scenes, rose to number 23 on the list. As for Jungle God, after the plot, it even rose to 0.7 on the list. Speaking of Jungle Kamui, he also followed up with the fourth self-introduction. My Hero S name is Jungle Kamui, and quirks are trees. They can turn their bodies into plants and are good at controlling opponents. His battle suit matches well with quirks, which is related to a tree. Quirks, who prefers control assistance, has also developed a powerful control nirvana, which can wrap villains tightly. But he is extremely bad at opponents who should be flames. So he looked at Eng, still a little nervous. In this regard, Eng has nothing to do, this is a natural attribute. My Hero S name is Sirius, and quirks has a keen sense of hearing, and can hear some super high-frequency sounds that humans cannot hear. The last teammate, Sirius, said with a big smile. She is wearing a sailor suit, has short ocean blue hair, and Tyrannosaurus-like ears, which are very eye-catching. It is worth mentioning that, in my England, Pokemon still exist, and it is also a national-level popularity. Sirius quirks appear to be purely supportive, with limited utility in combat, but in disasters like oceans or earthquakes. You can hear the super high-frequency sound, but it can greatly improve the rescue efficiency. These ears are really strange. When Sirius introduced himself, Eng stepped up out of curiosity and pinched her ear with his hands. Ah, these are not ears, but the technological equipment that enhances my quirk's hearing. Sirius turned his head slightly, breaking free from Anshei's clutches. Sorry. Eng scratched his head, he thought Sirius' ears were influenced by quirks like Jiro Kyoka's. Seeing the other three people looking over with subtle eyes, Eng coughed lightly and changed the subject. I've finished introducing myself, let's discuss the tactics for the team competition. Just then, a group of staff walked into the reception room. They wrote down the rules of the second round of the team competition on paper and distributed them to 160 teams. Probably because he was very impressed with Eng, a staff member handed him the paper directly. Eng read the above rules first, and beckoned the rest of the people to come over. Mu Liang mentioned 2 events in the team competition. In fact, there are 3 small games in the number of games, and 2 wins in 3 games. Among them, there is nothing to say about the 5-on-5 team battle. A one-on-one personal battle, divided into 5 people who go to the ring one by one to fight against each other, and win 3 out of 5 games. The other is for the team to discuss themselves, sending one person to fight against each other, similar to the captain's match, directly occupying the victory of a small game.